We'll call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order at 7:02. Selectmen's meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. First order of business is the approval of a bill. It's the charter bill for the 1870 Town Hall for $99. Take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this means we don't have minutes for approval.
That's correct, there are none.
Yep, all right. Okay. Next is acting personnel committee to discuss revision of personnel classification spreadsheet for fiscal year 15 with reference to the minimum wage change effective 1/1/15.
So that's to take effect in January, even though it's just at the mid-year mark when the law takes effect.
And what we have done is to change the first 4 steps, is that right?
Right,
Of
grade 1.
of grade 1. And these are the new minimum wages here?
$9.
$9 is the
$9,
minimum.
okay.
Yep, and then next January it would be 10, and then the January after
Yeah,
that it's
well,
11.
and we'll deal with
Yeah.
that when it comes.
Well, I don't know if you restructure the whole grid at that point or not.
We'll figure
Yeah.
that out.
Yep.
Yeah, currently, those first 4 steps, which I think are just basically library pages
They
and
are
so on
only
at this
library
point. Yeah.
pages at this point. Oh, I'm sorry, it's election workers too.
Okay. They run with step 1 from 836 to step 4 to 894, so we're gonna have to bring those up to 9 effective January 1st. I would take a motion to that effect.
So moved.
I'll second it. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. The vote is to raise the first 4 steps of grade 1 from the current levels to $9 effective 1/1/15.
And we're doing this simply because by state law we are required.
Yeah, it is the new state minimum wage. All those in favor?
Yep.
Aye. There's nothing for us to sign, right?
No.
There was a yellow sticky on it, so and I react to those, you know, I'm gonna sign.
I'm sorry, don't throw you off there.
All right.
Well, this says signature on previously approved stuff.
That's a different one.
Okay.
I hope I took the library page. So the next one, that's the grid.
Yeah,
Yes, the
Well, this
spreadsheet.
is-
And the next one is number 4 is signature on previously approved current step and level for town employees. That's something that June uses to give to all the department heads. And the only change that was included in there was adding the 3 steps of the different firefighters now.
correct, and we've
So,
already taken that vote.
You voted it, but it
Mhm.
wasn't signed last time, so this is
Okay.
just a matter of signing it.
Yep.
And that, I don't think that takes into account the library page change, because that's not current.
Nope.
It would be then.
No, that's right, okay. So, no vote is required, we just have to execute it. There you go.
Unless you'd like to have like an asterisk and say,
Nah,
okay.
We indirectly voted on these when we approved pay.
You actually
no,
already
we actually
this.
voted on this.
It just didn't get signed.
Okay.
If you want to give that to Walter too.
Yep, I'm gonna do that right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then the approval of, well, you can hang on a minute. I think I'd like to have all the members here for the approval of the scope of the
Okay.
public safety.
Mm-hmm.
I can share.
Where is that? Can I take, is this the public safety one?
Right here,
Okay. Can I look at it?
of
for
course.
you?
Okay. All right. Discussion of the fiscal year 14 Highland Common mitigation notice. All right. This is now okay in terms of the agreement. The only thing is that the attachment,
So what was the disagreement over?
the disagreement was that, there are really two things. One is, by multiplying the fiscal year 13 by 1.35, he had already incorporated the cost of living adjustment,
He being the treasurer?
the treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
And then he added it in as a separate
In addition
figure,
to?
so it doubled that.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, no. I didn't either, obviously, because we sent it to Highland Commons. It was Highland Commons that saw something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the mitigation payments, the senior housing, cultural, open space, and capital plan,
Mm-hmm.
the unpaid amounts of those are subject to the cost of living adjustment as an escalator. So it's as if you had,
I thought that was just public safety.
no,
Oh,
all of the
Okay.
one-time payments.
mm-hmm.
And he broke that out as a payment for this year, but that's not what happens. What happens is we get a pro rata portion
Mm-hmm.
of each payment each year. The unpaid amount is multiplied by the cost of living indicator, and that amount is added to the principal, and then the next year we get whatever is appropriate. So it wasn't an annual payment. It's an annual accrual of that to the principal. So those were the two changes that were made. And
So how much is this now?
okay, so public safety, it's $85,731.75 for fiscal year 14. For senior housing, it's $56,157. For cultural, it's $112,201.14. For open space, it's $106,021.60. And for the capital plan, it is $28,595.54. So the total fiscal year annual payment is $388,650.60. Okay?
Yep.
And then I'm going to,
The prior sum is in there too, I think, just for the sake of seeing. It's a downward adjustment.
sorry?
It's a lesser sum, right? With the new revision, it's a lower sum than what the original invoice stated.
Well, yes, because those two things that I'd indicated were added in, so yes, of course. But this does not include the other, it's just a corrected bill. The other thing I'm going to do here, because Dennis was asking basically whether that escalator started to apply with the 2014 year as a base, or whether it was the 2013 year as a base. He put two scenarios on the back. He should use the first one, and so I'm marking this up so when he gets it, he can reprint
Okay.
that. We did think that now that we've got this sorted out, we thought that we would also do an annual accounting of the accruals to the one-time payments, so that each year we can go back and say this is this is it. And if you have okay.
Yep.
So would you sign that? That doesn't require a vote because that's just applying the terms of the mitigation payment and correcting the bill. Okay. We're going to wait till the appointed time, if you know.
Whichever, and it's Walter.
By the way, are we on at
Yes.
4 o'clock?
We were on it for.
Okay.
Yes. I didn't respond. I figured I was going to see you tonight. So.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just, I wanted to ask while I was on the
Yeah.
line, otherwise I'd be chasing you around tomorrow.
My apologies.
No problem. Well, why don't we take a moment then and talk about the scope of the public safety services? I wanted to,
Okay.
that was early in the agenda, but I wanted us all to be here to vote on.
Sure.
On that one. I think everybody has looked at this, has made suggestions and so on, so this is really just confirming the final
Okay.
draft.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions or anything about it?
Nope.
I looked at it and thought that it was open enough to permit, anything that would come up to
Mhm.
be investigated, and very general, and I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
I would note that, we got, this is at a relatively general level, we got specific points from various department heads, and it's our intention to, supply all of that input to the entity that we picked to do this
Sure.
review, but we felt that it was slightly too, deep in the weeds for, basically asking people for an RFP on this. So I wanted to just say that for any of the department heads or other people who gave more detailed stuff, that will be incorporated as part of the review process rather than the RFP. All right, I would accept a motion to sign and release the scope of services for the public safety study.
I would so move.
Second.
Any further discussion on it? Okay, hearing none, I take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go. All right. Come on down.
Pleasure to be back tonight. This is Dean Belleville.
Judy Blumen.
Tom Andrew, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Dean Belleville. Nice to meet you. It's Walter.
What's your role?
This, well,
You're
It's
going
a
to
perspective
decide
role.
that
Yes.
tonight.
Right.
So,
Glad to meet you.
It's a pleasure to be back here in front of you. It seems like just a month and a half ago we were doing this. But when we began the process to fill Duncan's position, we realized that there was a new position that would be opened as part of the fiscal year 15 budget. So we planned accordingly in that process. And we came up with a list of candidates. So again, as we did in that process, we had an interview panel that consisted of Sergeant Geis, Officer Baum, Marshal Tate, and Priscilla Hogan, and myself. And from that list that we gathered from that interview, we did background investigations, which were done by Officer Shartner. And I bring in front of you tonight is Dean Belleville. Dean's from Northborough. He is full-time police academy trained. He went to the Worcester Police Academy. I don't know if you saw in the packet I provided, but there's a very nice letter from,
I read that.
okay.
from Captain Ryder from the academy.
Yeah.
Dean's married, has 2 kids. He works currently as a full-time officer at the University of Massachusetts in Worcester. He's also worked as a special officer in Falmouth. And I think that was really a telling assignment for him from what he told us. He was tasked with kind of breaking through and cleaning up a problem area with parking in the Woods Hole area, which you may have some familiarity with trying to get down there and get
Yeah, we have
over
a
the
place,
islands
we have a place on the vineyard.
and things like
Yeah,
that.
and I researched it, you didn't give me a ticket, so.
And his superiors there spoke extremely highly of his efforts. My vision is a little bit of a different role in here. It's not to go out and write all the people that frequent our downtown areas a lot of tickets, but really become part of the community. And I think the rest of Dean's background speaks to that. He was a small business owner and worked in service industries. And I think that really bodes well for us here in Berlin.
That's great.
Okay.
Sounds good. Dean, welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
How long have you been in Northborough?
7 years, sir.
7 years? Okay, great. Do you like Berlin?
I do.
Do you like the people in Berlin?
Right answer.
I don't know.
Now, Walter, he doesn't like the people, so that's why he's
I like all
moving
kinds of
here.
people. I actually had some friends here in Berlin who just recently moved to
Yeah.
Worcester, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like Berlin. I like small communities. I grew up in New Hampshire, a small
Yeah.
town, and
Whereabouts in New
you
Hampshire?
know, I grew up in Exeter, New Hampshire.
Yep.
And so, you know, I grew up in the surrounding communities, Kensington and Brentwood, and all the smaller,
Yeah.
very similar to Berlin here, and
Mhm.
I'm attracted to that, and I like.
Do you like, you know, networking, communicating, socializing, talking to people?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to.
He's not
Definitely.
hanging out at the general store, so. give
Excuse me,
that-
Judy?
I'll bring us the coffee at the general store.
But make sure you get a coffee and stop in and visit people, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I gotta be level with you. There's some police officers, you know, that almost think that, well, you know, the law is the law.
Yeah.
And then there are others that think that the socializing and working with people is so much better, you know? The other, one morning I pulled out of my driveway there and there was an officer, there's a cruiser there. I usually flick my lights, you know, and get away because I like, they're good. There was one there, his arm hanging on the thing and I waved. Never waved back or anything. I don't know what that was about, but it wasn't because, I don't care because I'm a selectman. If a person goes by and lives, you gotta wave to him, you talk to him. This is Berlin. It ain't Northborough, or it ain't down the Cape, it's Berlin. And we still work together and communicate together and I, from what Tom says, you know, what I've heard about you, I guess that's gonna work out. I hope it does.
Thank you. Yes, I believe, you know, I really believe in like working with the community. I've got people in my neighborhood, I still drive down in my neighborhood in Northborough, I wave to
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
in my neighborhood. And-
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't wave back. And
Yeah.
well, the way I grew up was, you know, everybody knew each
Yeah.
other and worked
Yeah.
with each other, and that's,
You obviously are accountable to the chief, who we have a great deal of faith in, but at the same time, you know, I would respectfully suggest if the chief doesn't strongly object, to stop into places like Indian Head Farm, you know, the store,
Absolutely.
somebody's mowing their lawn, stop and talk to them, stop and communicate.
Absolutely.
This is Berlin. We hope you're part of the community. I think you will be. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks for flying.
Thank you for
I'm
having
glad
me.
you're on board.
But
After we vote.
Before we let it go, Howard,
I
we gotta
think we
take a
have
vote. All right, is there any further questions, discussion, or whatever? All right. Hearing none, I would accept a motion to appoint Dean Belleville as a full-time police officer.
I would make that motion with
Enthusiasm?
enthusiasm.
All right.
Second.
All right, so no further discussion. Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay,
Thank you, man.
good, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Look forward to working with everybody.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I'll
I
come
will see you
by,
tomorrow afternoon.
we're
Yeah.
meeting them at 4?
We'll meet them at 4.
Okay, so I'll come by around 4:45.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
See you later. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Aye.
That's our
Good night.
police negotiations.
And then there were two.
Yeah, come on down. Are you waiting for somebody else? Do you want to wait for somebody else? I know it's,
What have we got? One reserve fund transfers?
3.
3.
Yep. Cemetery, town council, those are for fiscal year 14, and for 15, workers' comp. To get the bill in and get a 4% discount, we need a reserve fund transfer because there wasn't enough budgeted for what the bill is.
Yeah,
You
we
do.
need another person.
okay. We will then, unless there's something you guys want to talk to us about in the interim,
Not on the agenda anyway.
okay? Then we'll just sort of pick away and continue, and when somebody else gets here, we'll,
I have
yes?
a question about the police or the public safety study. Would you like to advertise it? Is it ready? Do you want it to go out to RFP?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Just central register.
yes. And then we had a couple of groups that were interested in it, correct? It came in
So
to see
send it to those
Send
two.
it to those two, and then on the register as well.
What groups were interested in it?
Remember, they came in and spoke to
MRI
Matrix.
and
Oh, I mean
Yeah, yeah.
specific yeah, okay.
Just
Yeah, so what I'm saying was,
Right.
send it to the two groups that came in and
Absolutely.
talked to us, and then
Right.
put it on the register.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I meant community groups.
No, that comes later. We decided that. All right. We got a nice notice from the Massachusetts Housing Partnership. We have, the Mass Housing Partnership has approved.
Yeah, you applied before? That was your signature the first time, and now this is the contract to sign.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying that we got it. and,
Good.
I'm just-
15.
Yeah. We received a grant of $15,000 for technical assistance with respect to the Green Acres 40B. And it will be used to pay for the consulting services of Paul J. Haverty to assist with the route review. And since we applied for it, but I think this is accepting the terms of the grant and the contract, and I would take a motion in that regard. We'd already voted to apply for this.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. This is to execute the contract establishing the terms of the grant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That isn't part of this contract.
We have a time off request from the town accountant. She would like to take Monday, September 1st through Friday, September 5th, and Tuesday, September 9th, so that's the week before Labor Day, and the day after Labor Day as vacation. I would take a motion to approve this vacation request.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And she indicates here what the timing on the warrants and so on.
Mhm.
All right, no further discussion?
You know, incidentally, just with respect to the accountant, issue came up, it's funny, when I do something, if it's simple, I just put it out of my mind, because let it go, and Skip did too, but we had bought a piece of property and somehow lost a quitclaim deed originally, and then so they re-signed it, we had it all, anyway, it was all done, and it just flew out of our mind, and and Richard had questioned it, whether we really registered with the deeds or anything else, and Skip and I, and Diane, everybody wondering, researching, so I called June, and while I was on the phone, she went through her records, bing, 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 the check was cut for it, the check was cut for the $125, had all the records right there, and just solved the issue right off. Just,
And the
you know,
registry
just like
cashed the
that.
check?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, so everything was, you know, she
Excellent.
did a
No,
great job.
She does.
Yep.
I think we have to take a vote.
Yep. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And just
So is there a third person in town who you think is coming? Should you call somebody?
I'm looking up their number now.
okay.
Yeah, we expected Scott to be here ahead of us.
He said
I'm
that.
not sure about Stan, but I thought Scott was gonna
Okay.
be here.
Well, we will continue to hang out here, and we'll interrupt our ongoing programming as soon as somebody comes. We have here, just as a reminder, the notice that we have been asked if, oh, here he is. I'll just finish this one. We've been asked if somebody from the Board of Selectmen would be willing to serve on the Budget Task Force. I don't think this starts until the fall.
We talked about this last time.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Is this just for Tohoto or is this for Berlin Memorial and Tohoto?
Well, it's from the regional school district, and it says Budget Planning Task Force.
I think it's a
It
response
does,
to town meeting.
yeah, so I believe this covers,
Both schools?
yeah, both schools. I mean, that's what I.
Whether
would
it's
read.
one or both, you know, I'll do it, so
Hmm?
whether it's just a Honda or whether
Okay.
it's both schools,
Okay.
no problem.
All right, so you're willing to do it?
Sure.
Okay. So you can notify her that Walter will, because I think the last time you weren't sure, and I said that if it was starting in the fall, if a couple of these other things like the
Right.
litigation and everything
Sure.
had eased up, I was willing to think about it, but I wanted to be sure.
I'll do it.
Okay. Come on down. I would remind you we're being televised, so be careful what you say about colleagues and stuff.
I'll mumble so that.
Yeah, mumble, exactly. I try to mumble too sometimes. All right.
Is there, I only know of one. Is there more than one reserve fund transfer today?
Yes,
I thought there'd be several. so.
There's three.
there are three.
Oh. You don't actually have the notebook, do you?
No, I don't. You have your key.
I have my key.
I have a key right here.
See? There.
All right, so why don't we just go through them one by one? You want to
Do you need a
get,
second?
yep.
I think we might need a second to get the book so we know we're not spending money that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think we're in pretty good shape unless these are giant.
They're not
One of
giant.
them's for this year.
One's for 15, workers' comp.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Two are for 14.
Yeah.
Yep. We don't even have the sheet of paper ready for 15 yet.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I did send to June, when we set our meeting agenda for the fiscal year 16 budget cycle. One of the things that I think worked well in fiscal year 15 that we're going to repeat is that on our last meeting in March, we will do sort of all of our votes for budgets and warrant articles. And then we will email all the department heads and CCing the appropriate selectmen, if not all of you and all of them, sort of what our decisions were.
Mhm.
It gives people a chance to read and respond, and then we will do another meeting 2 weeks later to reconsider anything that might need reconsidering. But really thinking that's a minor thing, because 2 days after that, we're supposed to make sure Barry has all of our final numbers, so we can't be doing a lot of finagling on that
No.
last meeting. In some respects, doing that in response to some of the schools that really the budgets have to be done by this date, because this is when things have to fall into place.
Mhm.
I think we're in better shape. Angela came and visited us already at our last meeting or two back, and they've agreed to actually come to our September 17th meeting to talk about their budget calendar and schedule. We don't expect numbers on the 17th of September, but let's make sure our schedules are lining up so that all the numbers come in and appropriate.
Did they hire a finance person?
They're going to.
They said they're going to, but that's as much as we know.
All right, you got the book?
I got the book.
All right. Are you ready to talk about each of these? Let's do, this is for, the cemetery. The amount requested is $4,525.69. The present balance in the appropriation is $75.46. The reason for this were additional burials and maintenance that were, beyond what was predicted.
What was the amount again?
45.25.69.
And we've generally wanted to be just doing whole numbers for all of this. Just makes math work. It's better, although we can do it this way.
Well, I mean, I
Fractions.
think we could change this to 45.25.26.
Yeah,
All right?
it just means, they'll get 31 cents of free cash flow from cemetery expenses instead of flowing from reserve funds.
It's pretty wild.
Okay.
We'll be very careful about how
Yes,
this.
officially, that's right, officially, the cemetery commission can spend that extra 31 cents. without any
It's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late, it's too
It's
late.
FY14.
Right.
So I think first we need a vote from the selectmen to refer this to the FinCom.
I wonder if I'm in conflict, on the
No,
constitution.
you don't have a
I don't have personal, okay.
personal financial interest unless you're one of those
Yes, okay.
that contribute, that you didn't die in the past.
No, I didn't. I don't.
Then I don't think you have a personal interest.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion from the selectmen? Hearing none, I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll give this,
So, on the,
first I'll give this to her to sign. All right.
while you guys are doing that, on the FinCom side, is there any discussion on this motion? Is there,
What was this to cover?
this is cemetery expenses
Yes.
Right, just basic, okay.
for,
For,
Additional burials and maintenance.
right. Officially, this means there's probably then more money than was expected in there revolving a reserve fund that we could draw out later on, but more people died. That's actually what it says. It says more people died.
That would be the
Right.
approximate
Trend.
cause, yes.
So it's $4,526. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Or a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Agreeable.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to then do the
We
next
save our
one.
meanness for budget season. This time of year, we tend to be a little more agreeable.
Yeah.
You don't want those people haunting you.
No, especially when it comes to burying dead. We're all in favor of.
That was good.
All right. See?
Goes in the
What
notes.
happens when we meet every other week? Everybody's pretty spooky.
Creative.
All right. We then have additionally for 2014, a request for $2,300. Note how even that came out. This is to pay June 2014 legal bills for Brackett and Lucas and Kopelman and Page. We currently have $34,2079 in the balance, and what we're requesting plus the balance is what is required to pay the 2 June bills. And they're closed out for June now? We
They're
have
done.
the June bills, they're
Yeah,
done?
and Deutsch and Williams too. All of them had bills. Deutsch already got paid.
Okay, so Deutsch got paid
It's
before.
$42,
Okay.
and these are the last two.
The reason for this is because of the Brennan litigation and the Maplewood Farm litigation up on Ball Hill Road.
Oh, I'm sorry, what's the first one? Brennan?
Brennan, it's
Home occupated business, home occupation.
it's a home business, home-based business, home-based contracting
Gates
issue.
Pond Road.
Yeah, Gates Pond Road. So I think we have to vote first. I would accept a motion from the Board of Selectmen to request the reserve fund transfer as I've just described.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion from the Selectmen? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
But we've already done some reserve fund transfers for, just a selectmen note, doesn't say legal on
I
it.
think it was
Uh,
No, we
7,000.
did one.
Yeah, we did, we did,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we did, and, I mean, we did up
Yep.
the budget this year, but I mean, when you're involved in litigation, it's very,
What's the blue tabs?
There also needs to be an encumbrance for the month of June.
Oh.
That Selectman can sign that.
yeah, okay, we'll do that one.
Just want to get the number. So this is 2,300 is what is being requested.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is in addition to 7, which is,
Right,
the
so-
budget was,
So,
And we did increase the budget.
Yeah,
I think we increased the budget 10 or, I don't remember what it was.
I think it was about 10,
Yeah.
which would be close to what we have now. We're hoping one of those may, one or both of those may settle
Right.
earlier in the year, but we basically thought a slightly discounted level funding, I think, when we did this. Again, when you're involved in litigation, it's kind of difficult to
Right.
predict.
Right.
Hmm?
Says
Says
the lawyer.
says the lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have a,
The FinCom can vote on that.
I'm sorry,
So,
yes, I'm sorry.
2,300 for legal expenses Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is this under selectmen?
Yeah.
It's asking for a
Uh,
department.
Second.
Yep. Any more debate on the FinCom side? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Then we'll move along to
Now, we'll
the,
close out the year with about 39,000 left in reserve. fund.
Depends on how much this one.
This is 2,300.
No, there's
No, the
another
next
one.
one.
this is for fiscal year 15.
Ah,
They've
okay.
already
And we will
spent it.
explain it, we're already in the hole on it, okay?
You need to know in case.
Well, what's-
I don't remember what the budget is
See
for
what it
fiscal
is?
15.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
even sure we should be doing it.
Well.
Well, the
discuss what
present
happened.
balance in the appropriation is 35,000. There was an unexpected increase in the premium of 4,000. If we pay the premium in full by August 4th, we receive a 4% premium discount. So while it might be theoretically, possible if we had a special town meeting or whatever to do this, that would be after August 1st. So the reason that they're asking for this is, one, the unexpected increase in premium, and two, the ability to pay this by August 1st so we can enjoy the 4% discount on the premium.
And sorry, I was gonna say, and that 4% equates to how much? Do we know? Because the total bill is,
The
39.
39,
I'm presuming they put the discount in
the
there.
discount is in there, so
Oh, yeah, that includes
the
the
bill would, be what, 104% of 39, so,
1,000.
yeah. Yeah, this assumes.
No, 41 was the full
About
amount,
1,600.
actually.
Okay.
Right, about 1,600.
But we have some credits earned that we
Yes,
applied
here we
towards
go.
the 41,000.
Yeah.
Workers' comp.
The 4% credit is,
I don't know if I'm supposed to take.
it's 42 or
Yes.
43 is the
Trying to
full
do.
amount.
Sorry.
Mhm.
And so the discount looks like $1,709.
Yep, that's right, and then we had another credit of
So-
And how much is it, was approved for workers' comp?
35.
35.
Right.
So how much are we looking for
4,000.
4,000. Yeah.
Right.
And again, if we vote this now, as opposed to doing it later after August 1st by some other means, we will get the $1,709 discount.
What I don't have in front of me is what our reserve fund balance, what our fiscal year 15 budget was.
I think it's 70,000.
Yeah, it'll be a line we have to fill in on this piece of paper. So. But with all the signatures, Jim can figure out the math.
Okay. Yeah, I think actually June is ahead of us and has figured out the math, but, yeah.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Then I would ask for a vote of the Board of Selectmen to request this reserve fund transfer.
So moved.
Second?
Is there any further discussion from the Board of Selectmen? Hearing none, I take a vote. All those in favor of requesting the reserve fund transfer?
Aye.
It'll be a record for how early we did our first
Yeah, I was
reserve
just gonna
transfer.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to spend an entire line item and be over 14 days into the year, but when you get discounts like this is when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because there won't be another bill for this for the year.
No.
No.
So, on the FinCom side, is there discussion?
Do we have any explanation as to the increase? I mean, was there any
They do say
additional-
that there was an uptick in claims.
There was.
Mhm.
And isn't workers' comp is usually a year behind?
That's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you never know.
Right.
It's one of those.
It might be one of the things we add to our, if there's a way for them to have known earlier, to add it to our budget questions. But this comes from Denny. Denny's usually, it's someone who's on top of the numbers.
So would you like a motion?
Yes, there's a
Motion
motion.
to approve the increase over the 35,000 for workers' comp by 4,000?
Yep.
Second.
Any more discussion on the FinCom side?
Is there any process in place for trying to limit, for trying to like a safety committee? I mean, is there anything along the lines of trying to limit, I don't know, being not?
We do get credits for stuff people
Yeah.
have taken. I mean, there's credits in there for some courses that they've taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they offer a whole bunch of
There's like
stuff.
trench classes, hoisting classes, there's all kinds of special safety classes for all the different town disciplines, and
And we do participate.
I've taken a
Yes.
sexual harassment class.
Yep.
I did hear about that.
well, this is comp, but Keith,
So
yeah,
on all the
Keith-
bathroom walls.
Keith goes to them, and the
Yeah.
chief goes to them, and they're very active. Actually, we've been hosting a lot of things here too, which gives us credits off of our bill.
Okay. I'm
Because
just
what
hoping
was,
that we're
there
not
was
just saying, oh,
500
well,
and something off the
it's a high
bill for credits, I think, if you look on
Right.
the page there.
Yep, yep.
If you drive by and you see the parking lot jammed,
That's what
it's
it is.
increasingly being that we're hosting daytime Maya meetings here for training, which is good.
Mhm.
Right, and this is trailing indicators, we said, and so things that
Yep.
happened a
Yeah.
couple of years ago
Mm-hmm.
is where this affects. And so maybe there's a hope the rates go back down at some point.
Mhm.
Yep.
More discussion on the FinCom side? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's 4-0. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right.
That's all you want to overspend in 2015?
Just beginning, a
Just-
little early. Just
Yeah. That's all we want to overspend in 2014.
Right.
That I can safely say.
Yes.
That's all you want to overspend in 2015 now?
Yes, I'm the first one,
Just-
so four
just that
Oh,
one.
who's the lawyer?
Four signatures.
All right.
4 signatures, we will be done. Should I give this back to you? Should we put this in June's
Yeah,
box?
if you're,
I can give it to Jane.
yeah,
Okay.
if you're done with it.
Because I have a nasty habit of picking these up and then getting home and
You
realizing
want
that
it
I
in the
stopped.
folder, or do you want?
Folder, yep.
Yeah,
So FinCom has signed them all.
yep. Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
Have a
thank
good
you.
summer.
We'll take a short,
Thanks.
short break. We'll be back in September and October to start talking about next year.
All righty.
This is Bill's swan song.
Yeah.
Bill,
Thank you,
you
Bill,
guys
for
bring a cake?
being
We'll
on
be
the
talking to you
committee
about
for
that.
Oh, it
so
is?
long.
New growth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on my
really.
agenda to do Thursday.
Thank you
Now we're
very
gonna have
much.
to-
I'm glad we got some money out of you the last time we were here, all right?
But he said that we can put
Hardly
him on
ever.
another committee.
Books closed and.
Bill, how many years were you on
Still
FinCom?
chasing a couple
Little over
of
9.
appointments, so.
9? And change,
He's
9.
the only conservative of the whole group. good.
You'd be
I don't know about that.
You'd be surprised. Thanks.
All right. Let's just take one more. This is a vote to encumber $319 for Telegram and Gazette Inspector, Land Use Clerk advertisements, and a bill for Staples for paper binders tabs, $111.03.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're not going on order here, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
It's still closing out fiscal year, so it's appointment at 7:20.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, I see what we're doing, yeah.
Okay. And then you want us to vote those, that bill as well?
Which one is that?
That's the Telegram and Gazette.
Just that
statement.
whole thing of encumbrances, you just listed them both. You can just sign the bottom of that, I think.
I did the encumbrances. Are
Yes.
you also asking us to sign the warrant?
No.
Okay. Payroll committee expenses, are we encumbering?
Personnel
anything?
committee.
Personnel committee, rather?
Yeah, you're just saying that, no, there's nothing to encumber, so the second line on the blue sheet is that there is nothing. We're all,
Okay.
I put a little blue arrow next to it.
All right, we'll deal
I
with this
signed both of them.
after the meeting.
You
then.
know, there's no harm. It's all covered.
Okay. All right, then. We had a meeting at 7:45 with the data systems coordinator. How are you, sir?
Fine, good evening.
Ready to report?
Thank you for
Yes.
having me here today.
I read it, but I didn't bring it with me.
Would you like another copy?
You can
No,
tell
I
me if you like.
read it a couple times, so I can basically know what we're talking about. As much as I could comprehend
Ah,
the
the cartoon helps.
Right.
Alright. Do you have any sort of summary observations you?
Well, we had a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Last page, 22.
Yep.
So that kind of says it.
Yeah. Well, I'll read that for the home audience, all right, because it's very short. The forum and resultant report is a good start to expanding the role of data systems coordination from one that focused only on the underlying systems environment to one that is more proactive in addressing the end user's need. And this is a significant change and will require a cooperative attitude between the providers and users. It is important that any problems be addressed to the data support group. Just grousing about it to your neighbors doesn't address the issue. We are concerned by the lack of written response to our request for input to the forum. Those responses would have helped us to shape the agenda to better respond to the concerns. Remember, communications is a two-way street. All the action plan will not occur in one day, for it will require some time to implement this shift in focus, and we will encounter some bumps along the way. But by working together, those can be overcome.
Well, I have some questions.
Go ahead.
So in the email section, you're trying to say that emails may or may not be public record, but if you had read our electronic communication and computer usage policy for the town, which is on the website and everybody's signed off that they've gotten it, it clearly says that email is been determined by the Secretary of State's office to be public records by define. Therefore, all email received by or sent through the town system shall be archived by the Data Systems Coordinator. All users shall retain either a printed or digital record of emails received through the system in accordance with the record retention. So, I guess my question is, what's being done so that we don't lose more emails at this point? Because I don't think it's a point that you can talk about, well, some of them are, some of them aren't. According to our data system policy, they all are, and according to the Inspector General also.
We had an action item that covers that. Action item number 11.
Do we have a copy of action items?
Yes, page 20 or 21.
20.
I think there's a slight difference in versions, but we're looking at chapter 9, right? Chapter 12, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So what number is this?
Number
12?
11. Prepare suggested update. Town's electronic communication computer policy to resolve any conflicts with the new bulletins.
So what is the suggested update? Are you gonna suggest that emails aren't public record?
Here's a...
Well, you also indicate, and I think actually more pointedly from my point of view, is 12, which is to investigate alternate providers.
But that doesn't
For
have
email.
anything to do with the loss.
Hmm?
The loss was local. It wasn't anything to do with the provider. It had to do with the setup of the system.
I understand that, but if we had an
Well,
alternate
which-
provider that was not local, wouldn't that solve the problem?
No, it was, the emails come in, they're put on your computer, and then they got lost off of the computer.
I guess my point is you can have program that stores these things remotely in a cloud or whatever, right?
No, you're talking about different things, and you're mixing things up.
Okay?
There's a policy, you're getting into some system issues, which you addressed also, and then you're getting into data retention, and the policy, the communications policy refers to archiving, which we do not have actually. That's why we have an action item in there to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, where is it? Actually part of bulletin 3, which is desktop operations. And that will cover the issues.
Well,
Is the archiving issue one of hardware, software, or management system set up to do it?
Archiving is a specific methodology of saving electronic records. And it's a very complex and very complicated area. We do not have any archiving. And if the town intends to go that way in the future, they'll find it's very, very expensive, and there's probably no need for it. I'm looking to see, I don't think we have one in here.
Well, Judy, you had read in a policy that we had to archive.
yes, we
Yes.
do, we
Yes.
do, under state law, have to
So
keep
when,
stuff.
is
That,
it,
excuse me, that needs to be looked into. I don't want to get into a discussion with you on state law. We've had differences of opinion before. We've gone through them and we resolved them. And I think that's what the case is here, that perhaps you're reading it differently than I am, and it'll need discussion. It's
I
not-
didn't write this. I did read the state archive, the state public records law, and the exceptions that are in it do not apply to us. I mean, we can ask town council, but
Yeah, I mean,
I think we
should-
could call up the
Well-
AG's office and they would tell us that we don't,
And I'm certainly sure that we can add another action item on here to resolve the issue of electronic archiving. That's what you're referring to.
so again, I mean, I'm just sitting here not knowing much about this, the mechanics of this, but so when our system was set up here, was it an issue of not including the hardware or software to do this, or why? I mean,
Well,
is it a software issue?
right now, the emails just stay there forever because I don't think anybody deletes them. So they're in essence archived.
Okay.
But the problem that I'm talking
And
about
where are
is
they?
they're either on the server or on some people, they're on their hard drives, on the desktop. So
So
you
the-
have a server which can have stuff on it, or you can have a desktop which has a hard drive which can have stuff on it. And it doesn't seem that there's any standardized method. Not everyone is on the server, not everyone is on their desktop. And some people have permanently lost emails, which is the issue.
Okay.
And apparently part of that was synchronizing the backup, because that does the backup.
If there was an archival program in existence, the ones that were lost would have been archived someplace else, and if they were lost on personal computers, like our Selectmen's computer, we would still have them? Does it
Well-
work that way?
Archiving is usually, well, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do things. You can have disk mirroring,
Oh, I don't mean to go on to you, but, yeah.
but it's an
yeah.
issue that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
And I don't know that we ever, if there was ever any answer to what happened to the emails. They just didn't get backed up
Are we
because,
talking about archiving, or are we talking about?
No, I'm talking about
the problem
missing-
that you had with a particular computer that lost some emails?
Well,
Which problem are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about losing the emails permanently.
Yes. As best as we can determine, that was caused by operator error.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, in one case, the plug was pulled, and the results are unpredictable. It's spelled out on page 14.
Is there another way that they would have been lost other than that improper shutdown?
There were two things that happened at that point. There was when the power is shut off without having shut down the application, the results are unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. And it could be fine and it could have a problem. In this case, there were two problems that popped up from that. One was it lost the pointers to 2 years worth of stuff that had to go and be restored. So those were found. They were in another place, and the connection was lost.
Another place on the same computer or on the server?
No, on the
Yeah,
same
okay.
server.
Yep. Okay.
Everything's on the server.
It's on the server, not on the computer.
It's on the server.
Yes, okay.
There are a few instances where people may have done things, and that's why we want to do the inventory and double check where there are applications that we may not have been aware of where their files are not on the server. But anything that we set up, the files are all on the server and are all being backed up. Now with Outlook, if there's a performance issue, for instance, it was mentioned that some of them are installed differently. Well, it was for reasons those installations were different. The preferred way is to install it on the server. Now what happens then is when you come up, everything's out there. So you can actually go to any computer, any desktop in the building, and log on as that user, and you'll get your total availability. Or you can be a user at your station, and you can be multiple users. You can have different logins, and you'll still get to everything. Now, there was a case where, when that was done, there was a performance issue. It said, well, it seems to be taking a long time for it to come up because the file's so big. So we put it on the desktop, put Outlook on the desktop. That required synchronizing the file on the desktop with the file on the server.
Okay.
That occurs when the computer is logged off. So until it's logged off, that may not have occurred. And we think that's what happened in this case. It actually happened more than once.
And so the data that was lost was the data between the last time it had logged off?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Or the last time that a backup had gone across.
Right, which happens, you said,
It was
was
a couple of weeks. Now, that's why we have an action, a bulletin actually, to number 3, which is from several pages, to specify proper startup and shutdown procedure. We also have another one that is to look at item number 10, action item number 10, to look at the Outlook implementations and bulletproof the application and implement. So to try to solve this problem in the future, in case someone forgets to log off or forgets and does something, that we've managed to protect it. And that essentially will look at each of them and make sure that they're all consistent to be able to do that. So, yeah, I called it the perfect storm because we had a lot of things that happened at the same time. And when you go through stuff like that, then you've got to figure out what caused the problem so that you can solve it for the future and protect it for the future.
All Are you going to be doing an inventory of the hardware and the software?
Well, we have inventory. We know what the hardware is. We know what all the hardware is. We know all the software is that we provide. We're aware of most of the software that has been purchased by users. There may be some applications sitting out there that we don't know about, and that's what we want to find out, to make sure we have a complete inventory. Remember, when we came into this, the system was up for about 6 years. We did not come in to it and say whatever anybody else did was, we did not come in to change anything, we came in to support it. And the key to support is to not change anything if you don't have to. Don't fix it unless it's broke. Because change is what causes instability. One of the causes, not the only cause. So yes, to answer your question, yes. That's part of the purpose of that.
Hey, Richard, for my edification, what is the history of this? How long have you been the coordinator? You used the word "we." Who else is involved working with you?
In 2006, when we occupied this building in 2000, the building committee installed the servers. There was actually multiple servers then.
Okay.
And provided computers to folks that didn't have them. Most everyone had them, so it was really a question of hooking them up. All those computers had software that were purchased by the individual departments or the individual groups or whoever.
Without central coordination, or?
Yeah, everything,
Just
anybody.
Rick
free for all.
Plummer was in charge of everything.
Oh, Rick was, okay.
Rick was
Yeah,
in
but
charge.
Well, he was
software, but
competent,
the application software was purchased by the individuals.
Okay.
All the application software. Rick created the environment, and that's fine. There's some things that somebody else might have done differently, but there wasn't any reason for us to go in and say, let's throw it all out and start over.
Yep.
So we went in with the approach that the new highway superintendent might take. Here's a roadway, it's there, it exists, let's go in and repair it, put potholes, fix potholes, occasionally resurface something. In that, when we did that, when the committee decided that they should go out of business, rightfully so, I volunteered to take that on temporarily.
Do you regret that? No.
I like helping the town the best I can. And we then figured out what the budget would be. We got in time to put the budget in, and it was in the next budget cycle that we then could put support in place. There was a minimal amount of support in place. I think the budget was around 14,000 at that point. It had been 5, and it was up to 14.
14,700.
And we came in with 45, if my memory serves me right, something like that.
41,180 was what you requested.
In '06.
Yes, January of 2006.
All right. I don't have the numbers in front of me, so.
But you were pretty close. Yeah.
And from that, then we made a determination that we would use Briley for police because they were already there and supporting PAMET, and they were already there for the servers, but there wasn't anybody there to support the other umpteen users that were out there. So we went to another service for that, where we knew we could get an individual that already had some familiarity with the town, was already in the library, had already done some work over in the old town, in the 1870 town hall, when the offices were over there, and was local, right down the street. So in '06, in October, we introduced that person to the group. And we did it at the end of a CPC meeting where we knew we had just about everybody there. I don't think Judy was there. All of the folks that were in the office were there. So they had an opportunity to meet the person. And for us to explain to them, this is who your support is.
Remember that?
Hmm?
Do you remember that?
No, I don't think I was there. But I'm not a
So
computer
that's,
user
that's,
in the,
that's
Right, right.
in
Now,
the town hall.
now
so-
since then, the approach has been to try to keep things as stable as you can. Some folks had privileges that perhaps they shouldn't have had. We let them alone because it was historical. Other folks had a preference every once in a while. They'd like to use a different provider. And we said, okay, as long as you recognize it's not covered in our budget, it's okay with us, just let us know about it. And once in a while, give a little grief, but not too much. And that's the way we went. In 12, we upgraded all the computers, and we had a big blowout over that, because I'm pretty conservative and drag my feet. Don't like to spend the money before I have to.
Thank
But
you.
the group convinced me that I was wrong, so we proceeded in that upgrade. So that was in 2012, I believe, so that's about 2 years ago. And we're still seeing some of the fallout from the change of the operating system occasionally.
How much more would it cost if you went totally with Briarly instead of having a two-person?
It would double the cost for the in-house stuff here, just about.
Does that include the fire department also? Does that include everything?
We would have to, you'd have to get a quote for that. In fact, we have to do that, we have to next year, for next fiscal year, we need to look at an alternative because the person that we're using is leaving town. And the person that's doing the data coordination wishes to stop at the end of the next fiscal year. Or if you decide to do something different sooner, then that's fine too. But I'm willing to stay long enough to start this thing going and just put the action items in here and work with you on the future, what you want to do in the future. But it's more time than I want to spend. Because what's being asked for, if that's really what people want, and until we go and do a new job description, which I think you've got to think about, it's going to be considerable more. See, if you had an IT department, true IT department, people wouldn't be buying their own software. People wouldn't be allowed to do certain things. There'd be procedures in place. There'd be a rigidity. There'd be a procedure. If you want to get a new application, there's a whole methodology that you have to walk through. We don't do that.
And do people add new apps? I mean, give us an example.
I'm sorry?
What's an example of, people adding new apps?
Well, you got a perfect example here with this new,
GOTMS?
yeah,
Is that what you're?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, as an individual,
Right.
I've made well known my feelings on that. And they were based on economics, not on the software or the technology, but on, do we really need to spend that money to do this? As a data systems coordinator, once the town has decided that's what they want to do, then I have an obligation
Sure.
to support that.
Sure, yeah, but I was actually asking, I think, for a different kind of example. I mean, GOTMS did go through a process. It was approved, it was voted at town meeting. It wasn't an individual just deciding to add something.
It went through a financial process, did not go through an IT process.
Okay?
Okay, that brings up what's on my mind, Richard. First of all, I appreciate your dedication to the town. You've done a good job. But who is working with you? Let me put it this way, have you called together the various town officials, our accountant, the treasurer, the assessors, you sit down and go through this mean, you're coming in telling us, with the exception of Judy, I think, Tom is more so than I, but I don't, understand all the systems and computers and all that stuff. But anyway, I mean, we know there's a bit of grousing around within the various town boards and stuff of how things are handled and what's going on. And unfortunately, I think you're caught in a crossfire here. So have you, or would you pull together on your own and hash all this stuff out and all these details with these other town, both elected and appointed officials, such as I just mentioned, maybe including the town clerk, or anybody else, but don't include me because I couldn't get really much to that discussion. But those that use it every day, you should sit down. I get the impression you're working somewhat in isolation. I think that I really wish you would, if you haven't, call together a meeting, and a series of meetings, and
Well,
keep discussing this and lay it out.
Essentially, that was what this forum did.
Okay.
It got people together,
Okay.
and it gave us an opportunity to listen.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little confused.
Not to interrupt, will you keep saying us and we? Who is us and we?
Yeah, there is no
Is
us
it
and
just
we.
you, or do you have?
Well, I don't like to say I.
One person.
Okay, then you've got, that might
My
be a
own
problem.
personal thing.
I know it. I got a lot of faith in you, but,
I don't.
the communication is key, and, I mean, I would, before this is done, I'm gonna ask my colleagues here to, in fact, request or order you to call a meeting of the users and hash out these details, and I would hope Judy would partake in the thing.
Well, I don't know what
Get it
details
done.
you're talking about. You see, some of these things that require, let's try to take an example. We have an action, let's take the action items. We gotta update the systems coordinator job description. That obviously has to be done
Mhm.
by the board of selectmen.
Yeah.
I could give you a suggestion, straw man if you'd like. I'm willing to do that, but I don't know what you want
Well,
in the future. No, just as an example.
Okay.
I'm not trying to solve it.
all right.
Investigate providing payment support for the fire department. We need to talk to the fire, we've already had preliminary with them, but
Mhm.
it's only preliminary, to find out what this actual problem is and what the best way to solve it is. And then see what the economics involved are, and
Mhm.
then make a recommendation on what we do about it. And if we come to concurrence together, then it's simple.
Mhm.
If we don't agree, then we may
Mhm.
have to meet with you folks and say, here's the pros, here's the cons, here it is, what do you want to do? Because fire reports to you, data coordinator reports to you, and if they don't agree, then it needs to be resolved. The 4, 5, and 6, those are a technical problem that was already in place, and we were working on, and then got sidetracked for all of this stuff, but otherwise we were wrong on it. And we have to resolve if the cabling in the building is sufficient to support the continuing operation on it. Okay? I'm a skeptic in this, and I haven't had anybody convince me yet. So we're bringing in,
You're a skeptic as to whether the cabling
as
is
to whether the cabling
appropriate
is
or...
the problem,
Okay.
or there's some other problem, because of when it started to show up. It shows up as line blips, and PAMET goes down. See, PAMET uses a very cheap database management system. From an IT standpoint, it's very inelegant. They use SQL, MS SQL, I think it is. We also have some that use Access, which the only real database in the place is Oracle. It's the assessors. So that's a technical thing, comes down to economics. I've already alerted the what's the title now, Highway and Building Facilities Manager, that there's a potential problem here, and it'll involve, if it has to be done, once we know what the details are, obviously. But if it's significant, then it's going to be a significant cost to run all the wires.
That's cabling and switching and developing. Mhm.
Okay. So that obviously would require stuff. Someone brought up and this was sort of after this discussion going on, graphic applications, special display needs. We've already provided larger screens, but we'll look at it again and see what the story is.
That's so they can see, instead of having everything come on paper for like Cabela's,
Yeah.
they can get it digitally, but you need a very large screen to be able to see the
Sure.
Detail.
detail of it.
Yeah, the
Actually, they come
Yeah.
now electronically, so it holds up the approval process.
Yeah.
Can,
So-
just, is where, it's, you know, this is running on tonight, but I guess, Judy, only because I think you know more about it than Tom and I, but is the idea of, instead of coming in and hashing this out, asking Richard to, but he handed that fact committee, I thought he did a great job on that, so he's capable of pulling together different user groups and hash this all out, and come in with
I think you're talking about, I think it's a good segue, because what I wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
as we are running on, this will not be the last conversation, obviously, we have on this.
Yeah.
But the one thing that you did ask us to consider was the idea of forming an information technology
Okay.
committee, and I
There
think
you
you're
go.
talking
Okay.
at that.
Sorry, I didn't forget
And
that
that's
that
the
was
one
in there.
action item
Right.
that you really sort of asked us to think about in this
Right.
report.
Right.
And it's basically a committee consisting of 3 to 5 members
There
to
we go.
establish information technology direction for the town over the next 3 to 5 years. Develop a long-term plan, establish priorities, costs, and make implementation and support recommendations. And this may spin off subcommittees as far as data archiving and so on. I actually think
That's what we should be.
that that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think especially as we're looking at changes of personnel and so on that are happening
Mhm.
anyway, and I do think there are people in town who have, expertise and would be willing to serve on that, and I think there are people, maybe in the town departments.
Well,
who
I
might
think the
also
key
be willing to-
users in the town, in our government should participate.
Well, I think,
Or
whether
at
they,
least testify
my
before.
feeling is it's
Yeah.
probably better,
That they
my own
testify,
sense is,
right.
that they
Testify.
give input.
Right.
We have 3 to
Okay.
5 people who would maybe
Right.
be willing to take this on.
That's correct.
How do you feel about that, Judy?
I mean, it's a start.
Mhm.
We could ask Diane.
Yep.
Well,
Let me excuse me, just,
Yeah.
I want to clarify, sorry, this was not my idea for the task force. It was suggested and the suggesting, this year actually, Diane suggested this, and I support it.
Mhm.
That wasn't.
Okay.
so-
Yeah, I mean,
so
what I'm saying is
wasn't-
in-
I don't want to take.
I was
credit.
using you the way you were using we.
Okay.
Whoever had prepared this
Right.
report, it had a,
Now, the reason it
It
wasn't
asked
on the
us to
action
consider
item
that.
was just because these action items were intended to be ones that I would have to be responsible.
right, and they're more immediate and so on, I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Diane?
Well, I was just, I thought there was a lot of grousing about technology over the years. There's been while Mr. Sardell refers to it as a laissez-faire program, it's one that he had been in charge of for the past 7, 8 years now.
Mhm.
And, just more things occur and things get unanswered and things get shuffled off. And if a person in charge has an interest in maintaining and bringing the town to the next level of technology for efficiencies for people to do their jobs, and he chooses not to participate in technology or software applications or understanding them or participating in any of the meetings, it's clearly, maybe in 2012, when the GOTMS all got approved, that was the time when he was stepping aside. Maybe the Board of Selectmen at that time should have done something about, replacing him as the coordinator or the manager. And there is an arrogance that comes with the director that people in departments can't deal with. And I think when you read this report, it clearly comes through as not only inaction that has occurred over the years, but also direct jabs at the Board of Selectmen not doing their jobs. And quite frankly, I don't think that he's the person to do the job bringing this forum forward. And that a committee is a good thing to definitely have going forward, but I think that the contact person in this building should be someone other than the person who's in that position right now. 2005, permitting software was being researched. There were 5 demos in this building, not one of which the data coordinator chose to attend. And there's, even at that meeting at the data forum, there were opportunities when people weren't allowed to get an answer, to speak, or anything. It's that attitude that keeps people from participating.
Yeah, Diane, let me stop at that point. From my point of view, the buck stops at this table.
Absolutely.
The buck stops here, and we've got volunteers willing to step up to the plate, and
Well, he's not a
if there were-
volunteer, he's paid. That is a paid position.
Okay. Let's, then from here forward, what I think the board has to do is decide, it's a process more than specific solutions at this particular time. Again, I've seen Richard run the FACT committee, and then he himself volunteered to resign after a while. So I'm confident that if he agrees with some of the things that you've said, he'll either change or hold the committees or have more input or resign, one or the other. But I don't want to do any drastic actions here.
I guess I would say this, that this is a situation I think that has developed, has evolved. There really is no central structure for deciding policy and so on. The coordinator is not really the policy setter, and I think that runs to what Walter said. I think we're at the point now where because of increased dependency on electronic processing, and that only gets more so every year, because of events that have indicated that there may be deficiencies of policy, practices, even facilities, given the fact that we are facing changes in personnel over the next year, regardless of anything, that this is, finally developed to the point where it is a problem that even the Board of Selectmen can't ignore anymore. And I think that the idea of appointing a committee is a good one. My own inclination, and this is only speaking for myself, and I'm sure we think about it and raise it, and I don't want to spend too much more time on this today because we're already 15 minutes over, we've got other people. But my own inclination is that we would, to have a committee, that would coordinate with users, that would hear from users, but not actually, I would not be quite so much in favor of actually having people who are stakeholders on that committee. I'd rather have neutral and capable people to do that.
Meaning no town employees?
I said what I said.
No stakeholders.
That, no, I don't want my own feeling is,
Users.
I would not want a stakeholder on that committee.
That's right.
Town employees will be talking to that committee, obviously, but my own inclination would be not to have any one stakeholder or two stakeholders.
By stakeholder, you mean employee?
Yeah, an employee, a user, yes.
Correct.
And I do hope that people who be listening to this at home and might be interested would not be dissuaded by some of the
Well, it could be very exciting.
difficulties and stories, because I think it could be exciting and a good opportunity to help the town. So,
I will volunteer to chair this.
To what?
Chair it.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, I
propose that.
have full confidence in your abilities on that. Can we wait until next meeting and see? I think I'd come up with a couple of people that are, them, that are computer experts too. And I mean, my initial reaction is favorable, but I just want to think
I'm
about
not saying that I'm providing ideas, I'm saying I'm going to.
Just chair it?
Just chair it and get it going and have an agenda and
Yeah, all right. Okay.
that we should put it on the website and we should put it out there that we're looking for people and see how many we get and then pick through them.
I agree.
Good. Sounds like a good idea. Okay, I'm not looking at it from that way, sure.
All right.
I'd like to add just one thing, please. I heard the comments back here, and I refer you to page 28, which is the job description. And this is the job description that I've been working under. And that's exactly what I've been doing. It's in that job description. Now, nowhere in there is there anything about planning the future technology.
No, it's clear that we need more.
It's a new requirement, and it's a good requirement.
Yep.
But it needs that action.
Yep.
And I'd like to walk away from this meeting with an understanding that we continue to go forward on these action items, because they do need to be attended to. And that when there's a conflict in any of them, that we'll
Come back.
come back to the board.
Yep.
Would there be a crisis if that was held off until the committee was formed and Judy chaired it and that committee got back to us on the action items? Or can?
I
or
think
do you
some of
feel-
this stuff needs to get done.
Okay.
I mean,
No, I would say, let's proceed with those things. Many of them are fact-finding or,
Okay.
quite small, not small, but contained, discrete technical issues. So I would say yes, and if there is a difficulty with any of them, or people feel that the frame in which they're being addressed is too small in time or scope or whatever, then people should feel free to come in and we can talk about it. Okay.
So who is going to proceed with dealing with these action items?
That a coordinator, those actually, these are actually, more or less in line with.
Okay, the job description.
With
yeah,
the job
yeah.
description, stretching it just a little bit, but not so much that I'm uncomfortable with it.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is documenting practices that we've had and turning them into procedures.
And I think getting some of that groundwork done as grist for the mill when there's a committee is also good.
I think
Okay.
that there's one other issue that's not addressed in any of this, and it's the telephone system. There's been some problems with it, and it's the original phone system, I believe, that was put into this building in 2000. There are different phone systems
I
now.
thought you were gonna say 1950 when the building was built. But,
Well, it's pretty close to that because it's all copper lines and
Mhm.
a lot, the newer phone systems are voice over IP, VoIP. And you don't need all those copper lines, and now when the phone call comes in, it goes to a office instead of like a voicemail system that says press 1 for the selectman, press 2 for the town clerk, press 3. And on Mary's phone, if the veterans agent is talking, she has no phone, because there's only one phone line.
okay, well,
So, should I put that in under the purview of this committee, or is this something we wanna look at
if you're
separately?
chairing it and you're willing to accept that increase in scope, I would be opposed to that.
Does that hardware fall under the purview of the data coordinator?
No, not really.
It does not.
The copier now is a scanner.
Technology committee.
The copier in the future will be a scanner. And in order to have functionality, it ties into everyone's computer on this floor. That's a peripheral device, but is that data systems? Because it's managing data?
We're gonna have a committee to talk about those things. I'm not gonna make any kind of judgment about that right now. Okay?
This is something that has been done now, and it's, I mean, you haven't had a problem getting it done.
No, it's just defining what the office is and is not, because data systems
I think
isn't-
that's something for the committee to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way
Not
too
a
far in
toaster
the
anymore.
weeds for where we are tonight.
Yeah.
So I will proceed with the action items in the bulletin.
And, yes, and again, if there are difficulties,
You'll get them.
questions, comments, whatever, come back to us. Some of those seem very straightforward and quite ministerial. Other ones seem like they might have room for mischief. If there's mischief, come back.
Okay.
Okay?
that's fair.
And anybody
Some
should.
departments can
Users,
comment on
departments,
those.
and, yes, I mean, we're here, and you can make an appointment with this lady over here. She makes too many appointments for us anyway, so she'll surely make one for you.
Sends out too many emails, too.
Yeah, we should get rid of that
So,
email.
yes, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you for coming in, everyone who came in for that.
Okay, remember this parcel, Helen Manning? This one out in the middle of all yours, here's a new address and phone number today. You could
May I
call
break for like
to
2
just pay
minutes?
the old tax
I
bills.
suppose.
So
On your mark,
Okay.
get
Right back.
set.
Right back, right back, right back.
Should I shut off the camera?
No.
Okay. It's on?
Would you like to say anything embarrassing?
You know, who's the chair of this agricultural committee? You?
I'm afraid I am, yes.
Are you, there's a woman that came into the store the other morning, 6 o'clock, she comes in once in a while, lives on Lancaster Road, and is into, she has goats, but in a discussion with her, she's, works with the Department of Food and Agriculture, she's actually working on developing an ice cream out of goat milk that Ben and Jerry's is interested in, for example. And, I mean, we got into a discussion there for 15 minutes. It was quite informative what she knows about agriculture and
On Lancaster
marketing.
Road?
Huh?
Is that Lancaster Road?
Yeah,
Less than 2 minutes, right?
way down the end of
Pardon
it.
me?
Less
Are
than
you
2
aware?
minutes.
I did not check.
I'll try and get the name. Next time she
Yeah.
comes in, I'll, because I thought of you people after
Yeah,
I
that's
went
fine.
home and listened to her. You know, it's quite well informed.
Good.
All right, with apologies for starting this a bit late. We have people in who are, including Mary Ann McLeod, talk to us about the Tennessee gas pipeline project. And those particularly who'll be talking, I'd ask to come up,
Yeah, come up, sit at the table.
sit at the table, it's easier to, yeah, sit around, join us.
Join us, the wood area.
The more the merrier.
Walk closer here.
Wait for Walter to return.
He's just getting the glass of water.
Okay, well, I've done a lot of research, and, what's going on can be quite troublesome. You probably know that Kinder Morgan is going after their FERC application. They're gonna apply in September. They're bypassing the usual channels, and they're going directly for their application. They've already.
What are the usual channels that they're
They
bypassing?
go through the Mass DPU, for instance. They go through the state.
Now, when we went to the Bolton meeting, they did not say that. They were showing that they were doing the Mass DPU.
They're not anymore. They've dispensed with that. That's all my latest information. They're going for, their FERC application. They're gonna apply for in September. They've already,
So that's a question at our
Mhm.
July 23rd meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They've already, found this document where they already sent out, all of their bid information. They haven't awarded any bids yet, but they're certainly looking for them. And I'd be glad to email anything I've got, to anybody.
Have you
who
been
wants
able
it.
to identify whether that is this
Yes. it's-
supply line, or if this is the main gas channel that
It's
goes
the
across
whole-
the northern
It's the whole
tier?
project.
Mhm.
They're not differentiating, they're calling the whole project, the Tennessee Energy, so
Okay, yeah,
it's the
no,
whole
that was
thing.
just-
Yes, the whole thing is the whole project. They have hired a lot of lawyers to work on this problem. That's not a surprise. You shouldn't
No.
be surprised at all. So, it seems to me that now is really the time to start thinking about what we're going to be doing. I also did some research and I sent it to Mary that pipelines can and often are defeated. I think you saw this particular page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And 4
I
of these
have.
were here in Massachusetts, including the one that formerly was for Berlin to Champlain gas line, which FERC denied. I also sent in natural gas facts, which provides some very convincing evidence that natural gas is not any better for the environment than coal or gas or oil.
Mm-hmm.
It burns cleaner, but all of its other aspects are just as bad, if not worse, than gas and oil. So there's no net benefit for going to natural gas. I also found information.
So, excuse me, Mary, a couple of things in. On that last one, so you're basically saying from once it's mined or extracted, natural gas certainly is more environmental friendly, but getting from the extraction to the processing, you add that all in and get natural gas may emit more dangerous, have more dangerous emissions than the oil.
Yeah, much more.
So there's a net loss there.
Yeah, it's a net loss.
Global warming?
Yeah, it's a global
environment?
warming, environmental change, call it what you will. It's.
That sounds pretty powerful, It
Yeah,
would seem
there's
that
no-
CLF and others would be on that.
Oh, yeah, and they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. And I've got some of the information from them. Yeah, the Conservation Law Foundation is really on top of this. The pipelines themselves emit a lot of methane, which is much more potent than carbon dioxide. Much more dangerous, I should say.
The pipelines emit methane?
Leakage.
Because the leakage, there's so many breaks in them, so many explosions, so many problems with pipelines. It's phenomenal. Since the year 2000, there have been 999 pipeline incidents, accidents, some of them very major. And some of, resulting in the loss of life, a lot of injuries and billions of dollars in property damage, which guess who pays for it? The American taxpayer. Because they're held not liable for what they do. And under the agreement signed with NESCO by the 6 New England governors, guess who pays for the cost of this entire pipeline?
It's electric tariff.
Yes, there will be an electric tariff placed on anybody who uses electricity to pay for this pipeline. So it's a net, disaster as far as I'm concerned for the public. Okay, I did include, some of the more significant accidents in the year 2000, including, the amount of money that it cost, the injuries, the deaths that occurred because of the gas pipelines. Okay, now one of the most potent areas to fight this pipeline, I found out, is Article 97, which is part of the Massachusetts State Constitution. Very powerful document that basically says the public has a right, to clean air, clean water, et cetera, conservation lands, et cetera, et cetera. And this one, I think, is a very powerful argument. I got all of the background information for Article 97. I didn't send it to you, but I certainly can. And, this segues very nicely into the recommendations, and I sincerely believe that the town should call a town meeting. You've probably got other items, other articles that you would want to place on the warrant, and ask the town voters, to vote to authorize your board to petition the state legislature to invoke the tenets of Article 97. That would be very powerful. I could find no incidents where FERC overrode a state mandated, legislative act.
So we would simply be sending our vote into the state legislature, but it's up to the state legislature to actually vote this.
Right, and from what I've discovered, there are several, a lot of our legislators who are opposed to this pipeline. So the chances are good that it would pass. Plus, it would be our job to make sure that we inform them of all of this.
You are aware of the fact that there is already a state law that says that you cannot put the gas line through conservation lands, parks, reservations, etc.
Yes, right, but Kinder Morgan believes they can bypass that law.
By what?
At this point.
By what?
Don't ask me by what, but they believe that they can, that they could overcome
Well, when
that.
we spoke to them in Representative Naughton's office, they said that they felt that they had to negotiate with the entity, committee, whatever, having authority over conservation land, and could only overcome that by going through the process of negotiation and contract. They didn't say that they could get around it or whatever in any kind of legal way.
So FERC, you couldn't use FERC to?
No, and FERC has indicated, and Kinder Morgan indicated this, that FERC, and I think you just said this yourself, that FERC will bow to local legislation and control. I mean, you're talking about some kind of Article 97 petition, but there's already a state law on the books, and if FERC is going to pay attention to some action of that kind, they also need to pay attention to the fact that we already have that provision. And certainly that is a question I intend to ask them when they come in on the 23rd, is their attitude toward that section of the Mass General laws and so
That is
on.
a question that absolutely needs to be asked, because, I've gotten that they believe that they could get around that.
And I spoke to them about that, and they did indicate that they felt that obviously if they negotiated and an area, a municipality or whatever, having authority over those areas, if they negotiated with them and said, okay, we'll buy you 3 times the area in a contiguous thing, and you allow this, that yes, they thought, and they had indicated that there were many times in which they actually had negotiated with conservation interests and that sort. But that was the way that they had indicated that they could get around it. But it's a good point, and I think it's a point that one of the points that we need to discuss and ask questions about on the 23rd when they're in here.
Yes,
There's been a lot of land in Berlin that has been sold to or given to the town to keep it as a for perpetuity, right? So how can they get around that kind of thing?
Right.
But
Yeah,
it
you
was
would
my
think-
understanding that the eminent domain thing would still come into play
Yeah.
with our conservation or
Yes, and
chapter 61
that's one of the key factors that they're trying, that they would try. Now, if the state legislature passed, such a resolution, it's binding. Period, end of subject, no discussion. They
I'm Sam
can't-
Malloy, and you're
Yeah.
losing me a little bit
Yeah,
with
they
that.
can't,
But
they could, you know, they can't do an eminent domain if it was.
Well, that's what I'm
state
saying
law.
is that the state law already says they
Right.
cannot exercise eminent domain on conservation.
But,
Apparently,
Park or
apparently,
municipal.
the comedian Bill Cosby, this was in yesterday's
Oh,
paper.
yes.
Right, who owns, I don't know, a couple hundred acres out in the Berkshires someplace, and he has all that in some sort of conservation restriction, and apparently the pipeline is planned to go through that piece of property. And he's very concerned about it, to the point where I guess he is, I don't know, personally organizing it, but at least I guess he's gonna be participating in a rally on the 30th of this month in Boston to get the legislators' attention.
Mhm.
And I think where Mary Ann is coming from is the need to get their attention and to let them know that we're not interested in this.
Mhm.
And whether we send a letter or have a town meeting, but
Yeah.
I think,
Oh, yeah, and
we
I
have-
think-
I think we
yeah.
need to do something positive
I-
and document it and let them know.
I do not
our
disagree.
position.
Right.
I do not
You
disagree.
know, I think you should send, you know, a letter of resolution from your board, you know, to Kinder Morgan, you know, to the governor. But it's my understanding that such a letter does carry weight, but it would not be as binding as a legislative act, you know, by our general court legislation.
We'll consider that.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would the board consider a one letter signed by multiple organizations like the Agricultural Commission, the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and whoever else in town, have one letter with the signatures of all those departments on it? Because we at the
Yeah.
Agricultural Commission voted unanimously against this. We were considering writing a letter ourselves, but it would seem to me more effective if the town had one letter written by the selectmen, signed by all the interested organizations in town.
I don't see a problem.
No, I don't. My own position on doing a letter, and certainly if others feel more strongly that it should be done beforehand, is once we get through the July 23rd, and I want to be sure that there are a few questions
Right.
that are being asked and that we have
Certainly.
testimony on their side.
Right.
My feeling was that that was the appropriate time to get together and write a letter, and that right now, we should be identifying issues, things that we want to ask, framing, the issues,
Right.
and raising them with Kinder Morgan in that forum, and then, gather together to compose our response. Because I do feel that a response that is, sort of more pointed, more specific,
Right.
More grounded in facts that they've admitted and so on, will have more impact on the process than, simply a general, we're against it.
Right.
Right. But I definitely feel that there needs to be a statement. I'm not opposed, I think, to the idea of if there's something to be accomplished in a town meeting, having a town meeting in which one votes. But again, we need to frame exactly what the difference between, having, a forum like on July 23rd or a public information at a town meeting is, you have to have an agenda at the town meeting. You have to be putting things in front of the people to vote on. And I think certainly the July 23rd meeting in my mind is, one key step toward developing what one would do.
Is there any notification going out for the July 23rd meeting besides the website to notify everyone in town about it?
It's on Facebook, and, yeah, and on the cable, it's supposed to be on the cable channel. I can't check it, but it's supposed to be on the cable
Can we
channel.
try it maybe our reverse 911?
That would be
Yes.
lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I've had no questions submitted to the Selectmen's office since that announcement went out.
And we do have, I've, and as we talk here, I have a couple of questions that I would ask, mainly around that existing state law, and which on the face of it seemed to be pretty powerful. But we have a set of nearly 300 questions that came out of
Bolton.
Bolton.
They were good
62.
questions, yeah.
Yes,
They condensed it to
62.
overlapping.
Mhm. But, we do have that list of questions. We've asked people to,
And I'm pretty
Submit
sure
that
that
bid.
they've got that down pat.
They do.
Oh, of course they
Yeah.
do.
Will this be an open forum on the
That's why I thought
23rd, or do we
you
have
had
to
some
submit
open
questions in
questions.
advance?
I think we're asking people to submit questions
Okay.
in advance. However, it seems to me that because we have appointed an advisory committee, you have some, from the general public, I think we would like to have the questions in advance, because I think it could be,
Just on
yeah,
a,
it could be very difficult to keep
On-
the thing meaningfully on track.
You don't want to end up on fracking gas and is it getting shipped up to Canada, which is what happened at the end of that.
Right.
But on the other hand, I think maybe you could shorten the number of questions because
Oh,
that
yeah.
took an hour and a
Yeah.
half and there was
There's too many
only,
questions.
So
There was
have we
al-
received any questions so far?
Zero.
There.
Okay.
Is that on the website also?
It's on the website.
Okay.
It's on the town's Facebook page,
And
which is
again,
new.
this committee, if you have questions, I view this committee as being, really favored, and because you guys, you volunteered to look at this.
Let me clarify that, just to make sure everybody is, I don't think we're really a committee. Mary Ann
Okay.
is leading this.
All right.
And-
Yeah, we, yeah,
And she's
Kyle-
doing a good job. I don't mean anything negative about that, certainly, but we're not organized as a committee. We're
Well, I
here-
think we had suggested an ad hoc,
Okay.
committee.
Yeah, we're not,
I call you committee rather than a mob or something like
Right.
that.
No, I just want to know that, we
The,
haven't, formed any specific agenda or anything like that. I'm
No, and this
part of the
is-
Agricultural Commission,
Yeah.
and the fact that they're planning to go through my land based on the map that I've seen.
Yeah,
right,
And Pat's the same way.
yeah.
yeah, Kyle,
And,
Kyle is right. We're sort of in limbo committee because we haven't been formally appointed, which ad hoc committees would be appointed, and so we're not. So we're sort of,
I thought we appointed you. We did appoint
You told them they
you.
couldn't reach out and send communications to people, so they were kind of like a loose group
yeah,
that were,
yeah, and there's
An
really.
advisory committee
Not
to
that
us,
way.
You're
yes.
full of
Right.
gas. You're full of gas.
Right.
a couple of observations. Number one, committee or not, I tell you right now, Mary Ann's probably done more work and research than possibly other groups in other towns, and she always has operated that way. Second thing is this business of, our chairman's an attorney, and he
Right.
rightfully agrees with the law, he knows the law, and he has a lot of faith in it, but at the same time, there's nothing like public outpouring and
Well, that's
petitions
what
and
we're trying to
meetings
stimulate.
to make
Yeah.
the,
I'm with
to
you.
make the elected officials
Right.
toe the mark, okay? So the idea of petitions and town meeting votes is very useful and very powerful,
Oh,
so
yeah, very
we should
useful,
do that.
very powerful.
I was wondering if we can ask the Lions to put it on the community board.
I did today, actually. I
Okay,
sent an
good.
email
Yeah.
asking.
great.
if-
Flashing
Yeah.
orange light.
I already asked Keith to do that. I sent him the
Oh,
text today.
geez.
Get cable, what about Action Unlimited? They're like
Oh.
that little, it's for nonprofits,
Oh,
but I think it
But
just
it's Friday.
Is-
It's
Do you know when their
next,
deadline is?
it's next Tuesday.
I would think if we
Wednesday,
have
it's
it
probably
on the
Wednesday.
website, on Facebook, if we go out with reverse 911 and we put it on the Lions
Yeah.
board,
Mm-hmm.
I'd start to worry that we'll have enough space for people.
I've mentioned it a couple times on the Google group and the Berlin
Yeah.
Mass neighbors.
Yeah.
I thought that we had said a while ago that we'd send a postcard to all the people that were on the route, or
We
that
don't
we.
have confirmation,
Yeah.
the company refuses to
They
give
won't
us a
give it.
confirmed list. So you'd be sending them to people that you think might be, and maybe unnecessarily alarming them.
I
And
think
also
if we
the
go out
company's
to
line-
everybody,
Yeah,
reverse 911, and we do it, that's, I mean,
It would be nice,
that's gonna
because
be
actually it
adequate.
only affects, what, 48 or 50?
48 was initially in April. The line is jogged a little bit, but supposedly the same number of property owners in total are affected.
It'd be nice if you could have a
I think
larger
it's
group.
jogged up by me, because 3 of my neighbors have now received a call
New.
that's saying, well, you're not within the 200 feet anymore. And so now I'm not sure where it's going up by me.
They're not 100% certain. In fact, Skip is asking them to take another look at following along the B&M Railroad path through town instead of going the way that they're coming now. So they're gonna just look at it. Whether they're actually gonna take that recommendation or not is not clear, but.
Yeah, there is, Skip Duggan has done some good work
Yeah,
on
he's
this,
done
and
good
you had a
work.
meeting, he made a good statement that was very impressed, had a lot of impression on them. The only other thing as an aside, on this that came up. I'm not one to say that don't get into other aspects of the pipeline, whether it's fracking or whatever. You know, America has a great tradition of being environmentally, thinking they're environmentalists, but then want to wheel down hydropower from James Bay in Canada, where they've done horrendous harm to the environment. I hunt caribou there, so I know what I'm talking about. And you know, this fracking, we're global citizens first and citizens of the US next, and this fracking, if it's wrong, if it's valid and it's wrong, and we can cut it off here, we should think of ourselves as citizens of the United States.
That's right.
And so it's valid to bring those things up, you know?
Do you want to talk about your other recommendation about the town roads? What,
Yes, many towns have sent a letter to Kinder Morgan denying them permission to conduct surveys from the town roads. And there is some controversy on this, but what I've been able to find out, and this is what I think is really the case, is that the town road is town property. So the town can say, you may not conduct surveys from our town road. Route 62 is a state road, and you have no jurisdiction over any state road. But over town roads, you know, Lincoln Street is not a state road, Barnes Hill Road is not a state road, so you could send Kinder Morgan a letter denying them permission to do, you know, roadside surveys.
Including
And I
Ball
guess,
Hill Road.
including what?
Ball Hill Road.
Oh, absolutely, Ball Hill Road, you know, any road. And, you know, it would need to comply with their requirements, you know, a certified letter, you know, address return, that they simply can't
Do you know what
survey.
other towns have done that?
Yes, Phillipston did it, several towns did it. You asked off the top of my head, I can't think, Templeton, a lot of Townsend, several towns have done it.
Could you get us the wording of that? This could be rescinded in the future if we came around to deciding this wasn't such a bad idea. We can always rescind this stuff, but
well, you know, the part that scares me about this is that if they put a pipeline in, then if they want more, they want to be able to ship even more gas, the first place they look is an
Yes.
already
It's
existing
co-location, yeah.
pipeline.
Pipeline.
So it can just,
That's what I
That
said.
was the story that you told the last
They're
time that you
doing
were
it.
here.
Yes.
In the 50s,
Monday, today.
when I was about 8 or 9 years old, on my dad's property, right behind it, down in Millville, that was a long time ago. They came through with the pipeline, just pushed all the big boulders aside, left everything there, left the big tree trunks there to rot, okay? I don't know the exact timing, because by the time they put the second line in, I was a young adult and away from home, but I think it was sometime in the 70s. They put a second line in, made the path wider. Okay. Then they weren't happy with that. They apparently, in the 80s, subleased that right-of-way to a high-tension company, and now there's a high-tension line running through it. So it's really beautiful down there. You know?
Oh, yes.
Big ugly sky.
Right.
So
and-
once they got a
they
foot
started serving
in,
this one.
Yeah.
you're done.
Right, and Cal's
You're
absolutely
done.
right, they've done this any number
You're
of
done.
places. The other problem that I discovered that really upsets people along the pipeline is because it's a straight shot through, it's kept clear, snowmobiles and ATVs.
Right. And that's always been a problem down there.
Yes,
Mhm.
and that will be a
Always.
continuing problem for lots of people. So there's a lot of negatives to
Mhm.
having a pipeline go through town. You know, and my own basic thought is throw everything at them that you can to deny them the right to put a pipeline through the town. And Walter's absolutely right, we would be doing something for humanity and our children and our grandchildren. And I do have a copy of, you know, the letter for the roads. I will send that to you tomorrow or this evening. I'll make sure you get a copy
A
of it.
letter, okay.
To deny access to
Deny
road
access
surveying
to
from the roads.
That'd be
Yes.
The selectmen don't meet again until the 28th, and
We could vote tentatively.
Yeah, you can vote on it tonight so that she can do it tomorrow.
do you feel comfortable voting on another town's language?
Um,
Presumably, well, maybe
Well,
not
we
even
could
that their town
vote,
council
it's,
reviewed it, or,
And we could vote saying after Tom looked at it.
Yeah, and I think I would also, this is the sort of thing I actually would like to run very quickly by town council, because it, you know, it is town property, but it's also a public way, and
But you don't
we
usually
know.
conduct business on a public
Uh,
way.
I'm just saying, I would like
Yeah.
to run it by town council. We've got 2 expensive suits going right now, and I just want to know what I'm getting into before.
Need a third, huh?
There's no such thing as a cheap suit.
Well, they did start survey activity today.
So-
They
Did it say where?
Yeah, so let's,
No.
I mean, it's a quick
They
question.
don't tell you anything.
No.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know.
I happened to be leaving my property last Saturday evening, heading towards Clinton on Linden Street.
Mhm.
And on a tree on my property, there was some pink tape hanging.
Did you take it off like a
You
good
bet-
citizen?
Bet your life. I turned around and ripped it right off. Nobody asked me. I don't know who put it there, but it didn't stay, and I haven't seen another one.
You should have put it at a
Another
different-
tree?
Yeah, further.
Yeah.
Put it across the street on the Rainbow's property.
They'd probably leave it there.
More to be done for the forum?
Well, I think we need to go through we don't have any kind of agenda at this point. It's next Wednesday.
Yeah,
and-
it is.
And we don't have another meeting, so we really need to.
I thought that Bolton Selectmen was run very well.
It
I mean,
was.
The Bolton meeting
It
was,
was run very well.
organized, and
Yeah.
maybe we should follow that forum. You can't go wrong.
Oh, I can sit down and write about 12 questions.
Good.
I'll send them all to me and Mario over here.
Yes, I mean, we'd certainly look to you guys if you had some questions. As I say, I have a series of questions really surrounding that limitation on eminent domain in Massachusetts, because I think it's a real key fact, given how much of this proposed route runs through conservation.
When do
The
we need to
problem-
send the
yeah,
questions to
The
them?
problem with that is that Rick Charbonnet, their company spokesman, has never acknowledged the first question, which was, if we use the Bolton questions as a starting point, are you gonna guarantee that you hit those points in your presentation? No answer.
Okay.
And so even my other request, which is if we send you a list of questions by X date, will you then promise to, no answer? Will you incorporate them in your presentation? No answer. So I don't know if in the end you end up getting a wide open question and answer session because they're not answering. The only thing he ever talked about was, I need a projector. They're gonna bring their own projector, we're providing a screen.
So he
That's
has a
it.
presentation.
They do have a presentation they've used
You can
in
see it
several
online.
towns.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
I think-
same
I
one,
think-
it's the
I think
same
I emailed
one.
it here, right?
How long was that
That's the
presentation?
PowerPoint presentation.
About
15,
15,
20 minutes?
Well, there's a difference
Yeah.
between the northern 3-foot wide pipeline and what's down here. The
Right.
only one that's really been done down here is
Excuse me.
Bolton, I believe. I
Yeah.
don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So
There it
Mary,
is.
they're saying they are
That's
gonna
the
give a
book.
presentation without taking questions?
No, they're not
No,
saying
no.
that, but what Bolton wisely did was get everyone's questions,
Right.
consolidate, knock
I-
out the dupes,
right.
and submit them to the company so that on the floor, they couldn't say, we don't know, we'll get back to you.
Right.
Well, the
Here-
only
They did say that for a couple
Right.
of.
10 inch to the 12-inch
12
one.
inch, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, they're
I found
not
it. This is
guaranteeing
the,
that they will honor the list of Bolton questions and incorporate that information into the presentation.
Okay.
So, there's a split as to, do we just take the Bolton questions, put them out to the Berlin public and say, folks, only ask new questions?
Oh.
Because they won't commit to answering those other questions in their presentation. No answer. And also, if we even come up with a whole new set of Berlin-only questions from scratch, fresh, and we gave them to you by Friday, will you answer them? No answer on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So there's no direction, so
I
it
would
leaves it
say-
open as a wide open.
No, I
I
think-
would
no,
say,
no.
we expect you to answer these questions.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Oh.
I wouldn't say, will you, I would say, we expect you to.
I'm just always looking for a commitment on an answer, and there's no answer.
No, you won't get a commitment.
Have
They did in
made it-
Bolton.
have
They
made
did
the
get that in
commitment to
Bolton,
come?
and that's why they did
Pardon?
answer
Have
the
they made
62
commitment
questions.
to come?
They answered
They were
all
provided to the
62
company in
questions.
advance, and apparently, that's what took the most part of the Bolton meeting, is they laboriously went through the 62 questions and got answers out of the company. The selectmen read the questions, the chairman, and that now then turned to them for an answer, back and forth. The problem with watching that presentation to get a handle on what happened there if you weren't there is that the audio is pretty bad.
Well, we were there.
But for the people who were there, they got a lot of information out of it.
And how many times have they?
So
done
what,
it?
are you suggesting that we
They
submit
know the
additional
questions.
questions?
Well,
She's saying that they have not committed to answering any questions.
Not that they won't, they understand that there's a Q&A, they're asking that the selectmen take control of the meeting so that it's not a rudderless ship, they want it to be controlled so that
No,
duplicates
and
are knocked
I
down on
absolutely
the
agree
floor
with that. I
live.
mean, if
But as to giving stuff to them in advance.
it's not
so that
open
they-
mic night, that-
Agreed.
yeah.
But giving them questions in advance whether they be the Bolton questions and committing that they'll be sure to answer those for Berlin people, or even submitting a whole new set of Berlin-only questions, there's no response. This has been for a week and a half now.
Okay.
I think we should just let the
We
people
should-
of
we-
Berlin submit questions, and the selectmen
And
of
we've
this
asked them to do
committee
that,
boil
yes.
them down to, 10 or 15, whatever it is, key questions,
Yep.
and go at it, and
Yeah.
ignore the Bolton.
There's none that have come in yet, but
Yeah.
that's,
Is this
And
reverse?
we
now?
have the
What-
Bolton
Can you
list.
like do
Yeah.
a message and
Yeah.
ask people for questions within that format?
I
I've never
don't-
seen what reverse 911 does.
It
It's
just
very
makes a
similar.
phone call to your house,
when
so.
there's no school, the superintendent calls every child's house in town and says there's no school today. It's the exact same.
So it's just a
System.
voice message that you can put anything you want
Yep.
on it. So you could ask for, you could
Yeah.
tell about the form and ask for questions doing that.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, have you seen the Bolton questions?
Yes, they
Yes,
were very
Yeah.
good.
I mean,
There
They're
was too,
excellent.
too many, I thought.
there are probably
There
too
were
many.
Right.
There
But they
weren't-
were precise.
there weren't-
Yeah, I have
hmm?
them right here, they
Yeah.
were good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good questions.
I mean,
I
the
mean,
other thing that they did was they said only Bolton residents could ask questions. So we
Did
as
you wanna do the same
Berlin
thing?
residents couldn't go up and ask anything.
Do you want to?
And
do
did they
the
have once the selectmen had asked the questions, did they have an open?
Yes,
Yes.
they did.
same? I wasn't there, but I understand that they did feel.
At the
to a
end, they
point.
had some.
That was the fun part of the night.
They did control that pretty good though, too.
They did, but
They
it
did a
was,
nice job with
but I
that,
think
so.
some personal questions from people who are directly affected by it doesn't hurt
Mhm.
for people to get passionate about
They were
something.
emotional, yeah.
Mary Ann, what was this meeting? What pulled this meeting together that you were at with Skip, this other?
Skip called that together. He wanted to have an opportunity to talk to Kinder Morgan before the forum here in Berlin.
Okay.
So there were two fellows from Kinder Morgan.
As chairman of the Conservation Commission. Well, that was all right.
Right, you could do that.
I remember talking about it.
Yeah,
and,
there was a representative from Sudbury Valley, Ashley, I might forget her last name, Skip, Louise, and myself were invited there.
Okay.
And initially, Kinder Morgan was really trying very hard to persuade us that they were doing the town of Berlin a favor, and you should be glad that they were proposing a pipeline to go through Berlin. We very quickly pointed out that, that wasn't really the way we felt, and that they needed to be more realistic and,
Okay,
but,
that's all right. fine.
but they didn't,
Fine.
they waffled around the conservation land. One of the points that Skip brought out is that Ager Woods has, 3 conservation restrictions on it. And they waffled around that question quite a bit.
Yeah, and again, I tend to really, poke at that question under existing law, which it doesn't at all say I'm in any way opposed to enacting something else or a resolution or whatever, but I also believe you gotta, you work with what you have too. And so I really am going to be very interested, and I'll pass along to you some of those refinement questions on that section
Okay.
of the general
So
laws.
what you
That's
want,
legalese, and maybe it'd be better to actually send that one in particular, because that seems.
Yeah,
to be
that's what
That one
an
should
anger
be-
question.
Yeah.
The Ager should be in particular. I was very dissatisfied with their response, quite frankly.
I will get you a question on that in the next day or so they have it for at least a week beforehand.
Okay.
Take this
Could
back,
we,
unless somebody wants to look
go
at
to
it.
And you can
Go ahead.
tell, thanks. You tell them that the chairman is very interested in that one,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could we take up item 10 while this whole
Item
group is here?
10?
The MAC endorsed letter
Yeah.
to governors.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, and did you have a chance to look at that wording for the
Um,
denial of
let me,
service on the road?
Yeah, all right, and we'll
Okay,
get
go
to that
ahead.
in 2
Sure.
seconds.
'Cause I can email that to Mary. so she doesn't
Well, we
have
can
to-
take
Oh,
a,
I'll take that, that's easy.
yeah, we can take a photocopy. It's pretty blank, it says here denies, town board of selectmen hereby denies permission to the Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company, its representatives, contractors, subcontractors, or associates to enter any town-owned land or to perform surveys from town roadways or for any other purpose in furtherance of a pipeline infrastructure project. Any such physical entry onto any town property from the date of this letter forward will be considered unauthorized. Permission to perform such surveys on town-owned roads is explicitly denied. As I say, I'd like to, we could take a photocopy of this and I can scan it. I would like to talk to town
Where was that from,
council
Mary?
about that.
This, I got it from the Conservation Law Foundation, and it was on, it's out there on the internet. So
You got it from CLF?
Yeah, because they're very concerned about
Yeah.
this.
I mean, if they're gonna survey Berlin, they're gonna do it in 2 days.
Yeah, it's probably already too late.
Probably already
Yeah.
too late.
Oh, why all of a sudden give them permission?
I haven't
Yeah.
seen anybody physically doing it.
I haven't signed
I'm
any
out there all the
certified
time in my yard. I
letters.
haven't, the only evidence I saw, and I don't even know if it's evidence,
Yeah.
I saw that pink tape.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, I
It would be nice to have a little help denying them, because I know
Mhm.
sooner or later I'm gonna
Because
end
Well,
Well,
up.
that's where I was
Boy.
coming around to. I mean, if CLF
You know,
did
and,
something,
and no
I have a
fracked
lot-
gas in Mass had the letter out too. There were several places that had this form letter.
Yeah, because my second certified is sitting at the post office, so they're starting to push.
I mean, Tom, could we be sued for that? The most they could say is, go jump in a lake, we're gonna survey anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it isn't something that's going to.
Is it constitutional?
I don't know why they'd sue you.
well,
I mean, they're using bullying
Civil rights.
tactics,
Oh, they're
so we
using
should,
bullying tactics.
I would like to get input. If other people feel we don't need to,
Well,
then,
the other thing is the question about why they think they can bypass the DPU procedure before doing FERC. I mean,
right,
I
that's.
thought that was the whole thing they told us, is well, we have to go through DPU and then.
It's gonna take years. I mean, they're saying, what, FERC was like at least another year away. Oh, it's on that.
Incidentally, the land agent, Philip Chipman, came in today and was just talking about the differences between the towns, whereas Bolton and Berlin, there may have been some resistance to getting permission from property owners to come on land. He said towns like Northborough and Worcester that are served by gas in those towns heavily, he says that's in the 90s, the percent of people who are allowing them access to survey their real property.
Mhm. No, whatever.
That the difference is the rural versus cities and towns that are already being served by gas.
Wow, I don't know if that's true, because
I-
I spoke to the town administrator's office in Northborough today, and they did not sound very happy about this pipeline.
They're takings, they're easement takings.
And I'm
so-
sure that for them to be saying, 90% versus 40%, and when they go to DPU or to FERC and they can say, well, we have this, that's a real
There
plus
is-
for them
there is-
as far as.
Yes, it is.
There is gonna be a regional meeting that Walter's attending of the Berlin, Bolton, and Boylston, but to go
When
further
is
south
that,
would be good
Walter?
to have a regional, well, this
that?
line in particular, not the
When?
3-foot
I
line
haven't heard
out
from
across the
Dawn
north.
yet. What date is
The
that?
28th here.
28th, okay. after
2 o'clock,
the
not
23rd.
open to the public,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. I mean, Tom, I would say sign it, so I guess Judy's gotta make the decision.
I say sign it.
Okay, should we take a vote?
I would move that,
You have to put the motion.
If you accept
Put the
it.
motion.
I would move that the Berlin Board of Selectmen sign a letter to Tennessee Gas Company LLC denying them permission to survey for purposes of locating the pipeline through Berlin on public or private property using our public roads.
Right.
I mean, basically, aren't you suggesting
In other
that
words,
we
we're
issue
just
that
saying-
letter?
Okay, here, yeah, that we issue this letter.
Okay, as presented to the
Right.
board, okay?
Second.
All right, any further discussion on that? Hearing that, I will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'm just abstaining for the procedural reason that I think it should have been reviewed, but.
Okay, and this does
if
not
I
apply.
finalize this tonight, do you wanna sign, or do you wanna, you're not signing it?
I think the clerk may sign it.
You can sign that actual copy.
No, I mean,
I can get it on letterhead if you want.
Yeah, you should.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So I don't
this
even
does
know if
not
that's the
apply
right
to
address for them.
62 or 495, of course.
Does seem to be, it
They're
is
state
ag
roads.
Okay.
I can, if you wanna do it tonight, I can get it to them again, they started today allegedly, according to that email we got from Alan Ford, Director of Public Affairs. So you might wanna get it out tonight.
I can hang around.
Okay.
I'll hang around.
You wanna sign it too?
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, no, Judy can, that,
Well, it
that's
does,
fine.
there
Go
are
ahead.
3 spaces, 2 of you could sign it.
I'd like to sign it.
You'd like to sign, okay. Take me a second to type it up.
Yeah, and I don't even mind signing it, I just,
Didn't want to vote.
I recorded the vote that I feel is appropriate, but if it's voted, I don't mind putting my
Okay.
signature on it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else on this that you might want to discuss?
Well, we're having the public forum, number
Mhm.
4. We're gonna do the letter, number 2. What was
Yeah, and
number 1?
then let's talk about the MACC letter.
Oh, the MACC.
Okay?
The Article 97? Yeah.
Well,
We're gonna wait until after the 23rd and then do
my
that?
own feeling is that we should wait until after the 23rd.
Walter and I have already heard their spiel,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a spiel it is.
Okay, so where's the text of this MACC letter?
That is it. It's not on letterhead. They're asking you to
Put
adopt
it on letterhead.
that
I'm sorry.
and sign it. I did not put it on your letterhead because I didn't want to presume that you were going to go there.
That's fine, I'm just trying to find the text.
It's right. It is this. And it's addressed to all the governors of New England.
Okay.
And then it keeps going with the footnotes,
Oh, God.
and then it respectfully, and then your signature line.
Gotcha, okay. I don't know if other people have had a chance to read
You
this.
know, I read it a couple of weeks ago,
Okay.
and all I can remember is I thought, well,
I didn't
I'd
see
sign it.
anything that I would object to in it.
No, I don't. It's really general policy. It isn't even particularly addressed to this issue. But, okay, I would entertain a vote to put out a copy of the MACC letter over the Board of Selectmen's letterhead.
to the New England.
These are to each of the New England governors.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
There's one other thing as private citizens, we've decided, not as part of the committee, we've decided to do a petition which we can, with your blessing, to Kinder Morgan on the 23rd.
I think you should also send this to our state reps.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
we'll make copies of
I
it
don't-
to our state
I-
reps.
I have just one concern about the language in the petition, and Noel can correct me if I'm wrong. In the second paragraph, you say pipelines carrying natural gas obtained through hydraulic fracking. That's not the only thing they use pipelines for. I mean,
This
That's
is-
true.
they
This is
got-
true.
they get gas from other ways.
Right.
They also
Good point.
put
Yeah.
gasoline through them, they put kerosene through them, they can
That is true.
space them somehow, I don't know how they do it technically. So I don't think we want to limit ourselves to natural gas, I would say carrying any petroleum products.
That's a very good point.
So that's my
Well,
recommendation.
Yeah, we could pencil, we've already made copies of this, we could X that out and copy it in and just write it in.
Because they'll come back and say, well, okay, we'll just put one in and we'll put.
So
Or
Mary
we
Ann,
could just-
I mean, go ahead and circulate it, that's what you
Yeah.
need, and give us
Yeah.
copies of
Yeah,
it. Keep our
we're
feet
not
to
in the
fire
business of
and-
telling citizens they can't circulate
Right.
petitions.
No, I
But that would be my recommendation on the wording
No,
there.
Okay.
that's a good
There's no
point.
signatures gathered yet.
No, not quite.
No, we're just beginning this process.
Couple
Yeah.
days down at the
Okay.
transfer station.
Right, exactly, and, it sends a powerful message, and we would make copies, for the
So,
state legislatures.
So
In
that's,
this office, please.
yeah, I mean, if you want to hand it over the table, I'll save you chasing one signature.
It's delighted.
Scratch the fracking.
Mary Ann, when you get
I'm
those,
okay
could you
with-
copy
I'm
this
okay
off
with
us on
whatever
the
they-
signatures you gather so that we can have a record of that too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just shift it
Absolutely.
right over here.
You know, I guess my feeling is, you know, we have to fight fire with fire.
Well, they certainly have not been forthcoming in anything, in information or, I mean, so
Cooperation.
that in itself makes you suspicious.
Absolutely.
Okay, you got 3 signatures already.
That's wonderful, thank you. And
It's not very flattering, but Mary Ann's a bulldog.
Bulldog with lipstick.
All right.
thank you.
What I would ask you to do is if you have specific questions, you guys as a group, because we've had it, out there, and I think the Bolton questions are actually a good framework, and we'll be able to structure, a good set of questions, even on the fly from those.
Yeah.
But if you guys have things that you specifically think are not addressed, because you're focused on them, if you could, try to get them to Mary in the next couple days, so that they would have them, at least the better part of a week beforehand, so.
Okay.
Okay?
Will do.
Yeah,
And
did you
as I
want
say, I'm
coffee? I
gonna
made
give
a bunch
her
of
a
them.
few questions
I
surrounding
guess I
that.
could just officially
Eminent
send the
domain.
Bolton questions to
There's
them and
comments on the
say.
side.
Yeah.
Those
Did you have
answers to
the ones
these,
from?
right?
Yeah.
Bolton?
And I mean, you
Oh,
could
I don't
hold
have
off
the
for-
comments.
Until like
Well,
Wednesday morning.
Those are my personal comments, you
'Cause
may
that's
not
still a
wanna
week,
know.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
would be interested.
And I'll
Thank
get you the questions on the eminent
Yes.
domain. Okay, so I think what Mary's gonna try to do is by close of business on Wednesday, send them the questions. Because that will give them, a week.
A week.
And many of them are repetitions, so I'm gonna do the stuff on the eminent
Conservation.
domain, and if you guys have questions, that would be great.
All right,
Okay?
and my last
Thank you very
question,
much.
is there anything specifically that you would like?
I said a question for
us-
Kinder Morgan, not for me.
Well, you
Good.
answered
All
the
right.
questions, but, as opposed to them. What would you like me to do next? What would you like us to do
Well,
next?
that's what I would like you to do next, because I see just prepping for
The meeting?
the meeting, which is, is really next week.
Next week.
And then we'll gather together after that. We've done the letter on access to roads. I don't see, I think we need to prep, consider, and be ready for that meeting next week, and then
Maybe we
take it from there.
should schedule a selectmen's meeting. The meeting starts at 7?
Yeah.
At
I have to post that as a
6:30 and
meeting
meet
minimum.
with you. Well, you're gonna have to have copies of the questions for the participants, so that all has to be together before Wednesday
Before,
night.
Right, before
Do,
Wednesday night.
do you want there to be some kind of packet that's handed out?
Well,
See,
they
or
handed
ideally on
out the
website?
questions.
Yeah, we all have
Bolton
copies
handed
of
out
it.
the
They handed out the
questions.
questions.
And
Yeah.
then there were people there who were handing out other stuff, and Kinder Morgan was handing out
Yeah,
stuff.
Kinder
But it was
Morgan.
all out in the hallway before you got in.
There's no copyright on taking the Bolton questions, but
No.
I just don't, there's
No.
no guarantee that they could follow that as a program on what's gonna happen in the night.
No, for this
Well,
point,
yeah,
we're giving them
because-
those questions, asking them to be prepared. I'll take a look at those questions, I'll see what other questions
Bolton
we
questions,
have.
okay.
And, in the sort of more formal, I may combine a few questions, obviously.
So what
Use
Use those
Bolton,
as an outline.
Bolton did was they had the selectmen introduce themselves, introduce the Kinder Morgan people, and then each selectman had a group of questions, because they're grouped. So they went through the selectmen and varied it. And then at the end, they had open questions, and the selectmen controlled that also. And some of them had to be
Passionate.
passionate and also had to say, you've already asked this question.
Okay,
So I thought that was a pretty decent format.
okay, that
Right.
seems
I
reasonable.
have one last comment. Would it be possible for us, would you object to this if we put it in, a very short flyer detailing what the pipeline potentially means for Berlin, that we could hand out, say, down at the, the recycling center or?
If you say yes, she'll hit you up for some money, I'll tell you right now.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Okay,
we
how about
need-
this? Walter
we need
says
to
yes.
We need to make,
Made
we
that
need-
mistake
we want to make
already.
some copies.
Hmm?
We'd want to make some copies that we could distribute to people.
And this is
It would just be
But from whom is this being
the
issued?
committee-
Concerned citizens.
Yeah, the concerned
Yeah,
citizens.
concern.
Or
Could
the
we
ad hoc committee.
use our copier?
Could we use the copier?
Well, if it's not a particular, if it's just informative, but not
Yeah,
for
you
or
can't take a,
against.
you can't
Yeah,
use
yeah,
the
yeah.
town
It's not for-
resources.
You
yes,
couldn't
it's-
take a position on
No,
it.
no.
You can't use
Nope.
the town resources to take
Yeah.
a position, it
No,
would
we're
have to
not
be
taking a
informative.
position.
Okay.
It's to inform citizens, you know.
The selectmen aren't gonna have an opportunity
Yeah.
to review
Yeah.
that literature
Yeah.
in advance
Yeah.
of the meeting, before you print
Yeah.
it.
If you know,
Concerned
if you
citizens
want
can
a,
hand out anything they want.
if you want a personal contribution toward copying
Mary Ann,
expense,
yeah,
that's fine.
Get the
but-
flyer made up, come and see me, we'll talk about how much to do that.
All right, I will
Right.
do that.
Okay,
Okay.
and then certainly feel free to call me about a personal contribution, but
Sponsored
it
by
gets
Golden
too
State Farm.
complicated doing the,
Sponsored by Golden
Compliments
State.
of Golden
Okay.
State
Yeah,
Farm,
exactly.
right?
Okay.
all right.
Little flower.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Ladies
I'll
and
be right
gentlemen,
back.
I'm not on your agenda.
Oh,
Could I have 5 minutes of your time just to talk about the situation down at the community garden relative to our irrigation system?
Oh, sure.
I know it's late, and I won't take up much time.
No, that's fine. No, we've got more work to do. I was gonna
Okay.
sneak out for a cigarette, so talk fast.
Talk fast. Okay. You're aware that, I think you're aware that our solar panel was stolen mid-June. I reported it to the police department. It was replaced. We welded it in place this time on the post, so it can't be removed very easily.
Yeah, and now they. stole
First
the
week
post.
of, no, they didn't steal the post yet. Be more difficult, but the first week in July, they stole the control panel, okay, which is a plastic box
Oh,
with
man.
printed circuit board inside. I reported that to the police department. We're getting another one. We're going to secure it inside a metal box, weld it to the post, hopefully.
Okay.
So, Ed Marchand, who owns the irrigation, Trinity Irrigation in town, has been just wonderful working with us and putting all kinds of time in. He and I agreed on the 1st of July that all the work he's been doing wouldn't cost us more than $1,400, okay?
Okay.
As of the 8th of July, we have $2,107.42 in our FY15 account and our donation account.
Yeah.
If I subtract the $1,400 not to exceed from Ed Marchand, I get $707.42 left.
Yeah.
I have some outstanding obligations for the welding, some plowing, some compost, etc. I need to plow, we need to plow in the fall, we need to seed it. With all that, when we're all said and done, we're gonna have $27.42 left. So we're within budget.
Okay, that's awesome.
However,
I thought this
But-
was,
but- but-
I thought this was
wait.
gonna be the answer to the
Wait,
FinCom
wait, wait.
question.
But wait, there's more.
Which is the next
now-
reserve fund transfer.
now the solar panel, we believe, is secure, that the control panel is going to be secure.
Yeah,
We have the pump, which is in the brook. All right? And by the way, Walter, yes, we would discuss it with the Conservation Commission before we proceed with anything with it, which I'm about to say. So our concern is, okay,
yeah,
the pump is in the water. It's contained within a 5-gallon plastic pail. A standard black water hose, water line comes out of it.
yep,
A electrical wire comes out of it
Yeah.
and up into the pan. Wouldn't take much to snip those two things and walk away with the pump.
Would you like me to donate my critter cam for this?
Well, we're gonna ask Mary for information about how do we get in touch with Cabela for that purpose. We're trying to reach her, but every time I call and I get the voicemail, it says, "You have pressed 8 by mistake." I don't know. Anyways, we have this pump sitting in the water.
yep,
We've got a couple of concepts, and that's all they are at the moment, how to try to secure it somehow.
yeah,
One would be a frame made out of a rebar. One might be a cement D-box to put it in.
yeah.
We haven't, well, at $27, we can't do either of those. So the question is, do we run the risk of leaving it the way it is? Or if you folks have
How
some
much
access?
was the pump?
I'm gonna guess it's between $400 and $500.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I was
you know-
asking because it was
Yeah.
like a $40 pump. I
No,
was
it's not a
gonna say,
$40.
well, maybe-
Yeah, no, it's not
We've
$40.
already done our first FY15 reserve fund transfer list.
So that's
Yeah.
the concern,
Okay.
okay? We've been able to cover everything, I think, so far. Okay, and I haven't got Ed Marchand's bill, but he did say he tried to do everything within $1,400.
But the.
And he's donated a lot of time.
Just because this may help us in terms of what we're doing.
Right.
The $1,400 was expense incurred to restore the situation that was a result of the theft, right?
Yes, but there's a little bit more to it. When we went to turn the system on in the second week of May, it didn't go on.
Mhm.
We had a problem with the pump.
Okay.
The motor was replaced on the pump. Turned the system on, it didn't go on. There's a problem with the printed circuit board. We had the printed circuit board fixed.
So there are
And then-
repairs and the
Right.
effects of theft
Right.
that are
Then-
unanticipated
Right.
in the, okay.
If it would have been just the
Didn't
repairs,
have,
we wouldn't have had a problem. But then the whole panel was stolen,
Right.
including the mounting bracket
Yeah, I mean-
and the control box.
Carl, what is
call
it, a
up Maya and find
submersible
out.
pump, just a typical submersible
I
pump?
know we have a
Well, I don't know if
deductible,
it's
but.
typical. I've never seen it. It's in a 5-gallon plastic.
Yeah, but if you
container, lays into
combine
Brook.
them together as just one giant theft.
No way to secure it with a chain and cement
Well,
blocks?
I would
that's
call
what
it
we're looking
mine.
into, how to secure it. That's what we're looking into.
Okay.
But we don't have the money to do it. Whatever concept we come up with.
If you can come out- I mean, I'll provide cement blocks and a chain if we get.
Well, I don't know if that's the solution, and
Is there a chance that a septic company has a damaged D-box that
Well-
wouldn't do the job for a septic job, but would be securing a pump
That-
for
well,
you?
that
And
might be
you
one.
should also talk to,
Laura Buskey's
talk to-
husband.
talk to Keith, does he
Yeah,
have?
talk to Keith.
Does he
Yeah,
have
sure,
some?
we can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, we don't
There-
have a
there is
design
such a
yet.
thing- There is such a thing as a reserve fund transfer.
Okay.
And it is intended to cover unanticipated expenses.
Okay.
And you've given quite a litany
Okay.
of
Well,
unanticipated
and there's also the
expenses, so-
insurance, so maybe we can recover.
Well,
all
when
that.
I inquired about
We've got
this
deductibles
2 years
on-
ago,
Oh,
I was told that what we had down there at the time was within the deductible,
Yeah.
so it wasn't added to your
Okay.
listing.
Yeah.
So we didn't.
No, and
insure it.
years ago, we raised deductibles because
right.
it was
Lower
so.
premiums.
Yeah, exactly, and,
You
And it's a
know,
smart thing to do.
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, I don't wanna load up the highway department, but I'm gonna tell you, our highway department can solve any problem
Oh,
like
Keith,
that. And I
Keith has
think-
been a
it-
prince, I mean.
Oh, has he?
working
So
with-
you had
I've
him look at it?
He's
All
been
right.
filling our water tank down there. No, I haven't asked him about this question
I mean,
yet.
I'd ask him to look at
I'm
you.
gonna, but,
I just thought
You're
of
asking
something.
more about the money and
Yeah.
and we
yeah,
can do it.
whatever the solution is.
I have a
If it
very
takes money, we
bad-
don't have any, so we may have to come back and
I
ask
have
for
a
something.
very bad and aggressive dog.
Yeah.
I think that you need a chain, but maybe
Right.
instead of
Right.
having a cement
Right.
block at one end of
Right.
it,
Right.
it should be the dog.
Right.
I'm willing to donate my critter cam if you
Yeah.
want.
And I want to
Takes
donate
it-
my
Pictures
critter.
at night
Only with the
and
motion.
it's
sensor.
motion
yeah.
sensor.
Like I say,
Yeah.
I was gonna see if we could.
We can deal with it, but
approach-
I would see what we have like
Cabela's.
lying
Oh,
around
we're
the
gonna do that.
highway and
We're gonna
stuff
do
like that. Yeah,
We're gonna do that.
yeah. And then when we have limited the over expenditure to the amount possible, we have to bite the bullet. That's what a reserve
Okay.
fund
You
transfer.
So in case we have to, we can come
Yeah.
back and.
Yeah.
Tell
Okay,
them that
thank
you're
you.
gonna shoot the animal, because
You can
that's.
just-
Mary, have other,
I will be right back.
have other groups like the Conservation Commission gotten, contacted Cabela's for
Bringing a cigar to each
I think you're the, oh, no, not as far as I've heard.
I was thinking of sending them a letter or an email or something, asking, telling them what our situation is and asking if they wouldn't donate some sort of night
Be the
type
first one in the
camera.
line.
Would you know who to contact there?
I can, I did it one time until I lost emails. Honestly, that is one that I have lost, because I remember
I
trying to
can-
pass your initial
Oh, yeah.
comments to them back, and I'll find out through the chain.
Okay, if
Who
you could
is-
send me an email, I'd
Maybe
appreciate
they
it.
could have a ribbon cutting and a photo op down there too.
Right.
It's all good, you know?
Okay, good.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right,
That
folks.
was,
Don't stay too late tonight.
Tom is being taken out by
Yeah.
Cabela's tomorrow.
We haven't even begun.
Why is he going out to Cabela's?
You're taking him out.
See ya, folks.
Thanks a lot.
Tom,
The police chief.
oh, the police chief. I was
Risk,
like, what?
risk containment, loss containment, they wanna talk about the security up there and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if that's just standard protocol or what, but this is a
Yeah.
spin-off community benefit regarding theft and.
Yeah, it's regarding theft.
So we'll see, I'll put it to
See if you
Tom.
can remember.
Ask if he wants to grab them while he's got them at the table, over breadsticks. Here.
It's not that hot.
Oh. Camera's
Don't
on.
have- You need a thermometer in here.
I do have one.
There are patches where the cool air is coming down.
Oh, my God.
There are things that we've discussed in the
pass.
You're on camera, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
That, I don't see on the old business thing. What I'm gonna do, and I'll think of it tonight when I get home, or tomorrow, I'm just gonna email you all the time and put it on the old business
Fine.
thing. There are a couple of things that, we
I'm
gotta
trying to
follow
see
up on.
what needs to be
Yep, send them
signed
my
on
way.
this.
It's your agenda, not mine.
So
Did you say something fell off of it that should remain on there? Or is it just something
No, I
you'd like
didn't
to add
say
to it?
that.
Okay, okay, just
There's
checking.
something in I thought of something earlier today, and it is, I forgot what it was, but I know it isn't on
Okay,
here.
okay,
Okay,
yep.
so.
Wonder if we should go work this up.
Why are these
When you set up that critter cam, make sure I spend more time hiding the cam than I do worrying about pictures I'm taking. Those things are hot items. I've lost 2.
Really?
People steal them, oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I've set it up on deer trails and
well.
stuff, and out in, Harvard and stuff, and they just disappear. You really gotta try
Be
to
good
keep
at-
them conspicuous. On your own property around.
I was gonna say, mine is
You
just
probably
on
wouldn't
our,
have any problem.
I found the raccoons that were
Oh, yeah.
at the feeder.
But you set it up down there, and, you'd have to be careful that somebody else wouldn't see it.
The person who's stealing.
Yeah, right, would
steal
steal the camera too. They have cameras that directly go into your computer, so if they stole the camera, you'd have the picture and everything on the camera, you know?
Yeah.
You can sit in your computer and check them, and
Yep.
that looks onerous. What are you looking at?
Well, today we went down to Ashland and we were awarded our Green Communities Competitive Grant.
Oh, wonderful.
So this is the contract.
Mhm.
So I was just looking through to see what needs to get signed tonight.
Great. So we'll be discussing it.
Yes, I believe it's the next thing on the list.
Volunteered to get dinner tonight, and it takes longer to saute kale than I thought. That's why I was waiting. It takes about 20 minutes. The girl, my daughter's home with the 2 babies.
You've got the,
So schedules have been changed around the house. It's fun though.
so you were the cook tonight?
And I cook tonight.
Now, are they staying with you?
Yeah, they'll be here, until mid-September, but Rachel is home, and she was supposed to go to Washington for a couple of meetings. And when I picked up Gail, she was sick as could be. And so I brought her home about 1, brought everybody home at 5. I rushed her over to ER in Marlboro. She's got pneumonia, so she was in the hospital. They had about 4 IVs into her for 3
Wow.
days. Yeah, and she's really sick. So it takes about 8 weeks to get over pneumonia. So that was happening, and then Rachel's there with the girls. We handled that all right. That was no problem. But Gail's home now. So anyway, Rachel canceled her Washington conference, going to it, and then she'll be with us now until the end of the month. She's still working, but through August she's on vacation, so she'll be home, and then she goes to Madrid, her next assignment, gets set up in the apartment and everything, and in her job position over there, and then we'll fly the babies over in mid-September.
Oh, so you're gonna keep the babies while she's over there?
Yeah, oh, they're great, they're great.
All right.
Grandpa there is gonna be busy.
Yeah. I said that while Mary was doing that, because this doesn't really take any notes except that we executed the encumbrances or the discharges, I thought we'd go through these closeouts things one.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So, the first is, I think we took that vote, the 319 and 111. That was an encumbrance of June bills for advertising and office supplies. And we took that vote, I believe, already. So do you want to sign that? You sign that one here, which is...
Yes, I know.
Yeah, okay, that's right. You were on...
I'm the one who signed.
Hmm?
Well, both of these lines on the previous one.
Okay. And the Personnel Committee expenses, we're signing off that we have no expenses outstanding. I'm going to sign that. And this is county aid to agriculture, and we are signing this as no expenses outstanding. That's no second line.
All expenses have been paid in June?
Yeah, they're all done. Yeah, nothing
Yeah, the
outstanding.
little arrow just means it's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the arrow.
Sorry.
No, that's mine.
All of these you're signing on the bottom, okay?
Okay.
Unless I tell you otherwise, but I think we're all set, okay? And then county aid to agriculture, same. Workman's comp.
Yeah, for this year, that's right.
Same, yep, that's right. I got that.
I'm doing a mental check. It's been a blur.
Police, fire, insurance items, the same. Property and casualty, the same. All right, and now we have a series of special articles. And these are all, the first group will be all requests not to close out. This is handicapped access, and I believe it's to the old town hall. And this requires...
How much is in it?
$5,936. Okay.
Abby and Roby has indicated that they have plans for that.
Oh, yes, no, they have, absolutely, yes, no, absolutely. So, do not close that out. And I will give us the continuing work.
Walter, you could sign this.
To be done in 1870. Town Hall, I can sign this one. And it is 7/14. Okay. So that's that. All right. This is radio base station, which is sort of repeater and base station here for radio communications. It's 188410, and we're requesting not to close this out because there are things that have to be done from time to time on that. Okay. So I'm saying continuing need for upkeep and updating is the reason. Okay. we have $7,141.48 in the matching grants fund. The point of this is to have money available and
In case we get a grant.
ready in case we get a
Matching.
grant. So we're gonna ask
We don't
not
get
to
a grant,
close
we don't
this.
spend it. If we do, it's
Exactly,
worth spending.
exactly, exactly. So I will say, do not close that. Need to have ready funds in absence of town meeting to fund and qualify for matching grants, all right?
Mhm.
And then what I'm gonna do is do a couple, when she gets back, I'm just gonna do a couple motions that will ratify
Okay.
each of these.
Yep.
Okay. Curbing and sidewalks, we're asking not to close that out because,
Yeah,
yep,
they won't spend it unless it's necessary.
Yep.
It's a tightly run department anyway.
mm-hmm. And I know, we have talked about the idea of, continuing as the time went on, repairing, perhaps the sidewalk that goes down, through Carterville, that's, what I
Sure.
mean? So,
Yeah.
on, Center. So I'll say, continuing work expected on Center pedestrian
Yeah.
area because, okay?
Or on that subject, sometime I'd like to see walkways or marks on the road or something so people could safely walk from the center of town, down around the corner by your house and then across onto the conservation land, cross
you
Pleasant
betcha.
Street there somehow.
The school group uses my driveway. They come through Jane's and my
Oh,
driveway
yeah.
and go across
Yeah.
because they don't feel comfortable. And in the winter, sometimes when
Yeah.
the snow's too deep, I always kind of peek around the corner to see before I, because they really do cut that. And I think what we've seen with the putting the sidewalk in front of the old burying ground,
Yep.
even though we didn't continue the sidewalk because of the sort of dual use of parking,
Sure.
it is forced, I think, traffic not to cut that corner,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that they stay more in the middle of the road even
Right,
beyond that, so
right.
it has a real benefit.
Yeah.
This is $25,000 for elevator drawings. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of meetings ago, and this is, a project ongoing and out to bid, okay? All right. And now, we have some okays to close. Mary, on these,
Yes.
okay to close for prior year encumbrances, so these are 13.
For 13. So that was money that was encumbered last year. to
And then-
hold- Yep,
Yeah, and then we didn't spend all that we
There's no-
encumbered.
that's correct.
Okay.
I've received no demand notices from anybody saying they hadn't been paid. None of those accounts have anything lingering in them.
Okay, and we don't have to take action on that because they will expire,
Correct.
so that we don't have to do anything with this. All right.
Yep.
When you're ready to come back here, I'll give a couple of motions quickly, and then we'll ratify what we just did.
That New England MACC letter has a lot of footnotes that lost all its pagination for me to try to, I'm gonna have to.
That letter does not have to go out tonight,
Yeah.
by any means.
Okay, but that one for the,
It's the other one
got
that,
it.
You're the one who needs to sign that one.
Actually,
Right
there's
over
spaces
there.
for all
You need to
three of
sign
you.
this,
Oh.
Tom.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it, okay.
This is the road one.
Yeah. This is the one that we wanted to get out tonight. The other one is, can go out
Okay.
whenever. Yeah, we can sign it next week when we get together, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, take your time.
So you want me to post that earlier than 7?
Yeah, why don't you post it at 6:30 so we have a little time to
Okay.
get our act together, okay?
Okay.
I think though at some point, somewhere, we have to meet before the 23rd and get the questions all
Yeah.
done, printed up, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of run through what we're gonna do.
Unless you want to work with me on it, because I don't see a rush of them coming in. And it may be that we're taking the Bolton questions and your conservation concern and sending that to the company and just asking.
That's what these guys have.
You know
Yep.
what, Judy, if you don't mind,
Or do you want to do it?
I mean, you attended that meeting, you know what's going on, and I've got enough meetings going on with Bolton and everything, if you just wanted to run through the questions, and then we wouldn't need a
You're it.
meeting. If you do mind,
I
I'll
was
do
gonna-
it.
I was gonna
I'm
go
just trying to
through-
avoid a meeting.
I was gonna go through the questions
You wanna
and
do
do
it?
some combining.
Oh, there you go.
If you have some thoughts about it, I don't know, but
Well, I mean, I'd like to see the questions before the 23rd.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Do you have a meeting?
Well, we could meet briefly on the
All right.
on Monday night
The 21st?
and just go over what we're gonna do, and then just, yeah.
Yeah, all
Okay.
right. Okay. Good idea.
Tom's not going to be there, or Tom's going to be there?
If I'm not gonna be there, I'll mark up questions, but.
Well, you
Okay.
need to have the questions, right? We wanted to try to send them the questions by Friday, the 18th anyway.
I mean,
So
everything I
this
get,
would
I
be
can
the
copy to all
final-
of you so you can all see it, and Tom wants to take a crack, it can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if we're sending the questions to them on the 18th, why do we have to meet on the 21st?
They may not have, they would not have answered them by then. They may not answer.
I don't think they'll answer them before the meeting. I wasn't expecting that.
No, I'm not expecting any answers from them, but I was presuming that we're going to look at the questions and then put them into some kind of order. So we'll know what the questions are on the 18th, and then I thought on the 21st, we would sit down and figure out who's gonna do what.
Like
Okay.
how Bolton divvied up.
Like
All
how
right.
Bolton did
Okay,
theirs.
that's fine. We'll try to keep
It'd
it
be
short, okay?
Yeah.
All
That
right.
one topic meeting other than the warrant, right? A one topic meeting.
A one-topic meeting.
No appointments, no nothing else.
No appointments.
Okay.
All right.
7 PM, okay?
Yeah, 7 p.m.'s okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I would accept a motion to execute the encumbrance. We did that one already, sorry. The encumbrance we did. I voted already. Okay, to sign off on the various line items as being discharged as are presented to the board tonight. Okay,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I would take a vote to request not closing out the special articles as presented to the board tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, good. Okay, that's that. Okay. Give me a second here to reboot my files. Okay, I just want to be sure that I'm not messing things up for Mary, so we got all that stuff in there. All right. Then we can pick up with an update on the Green Community Grant Award.
So today, Eloise and I went down to Ashland and were awarded a $120,962 grant for the 4 projects that I put in, which is the building envelope at the municipal building, so the $78,863 that were voted at town meeting we do not need. We also have a project at Berlin Memorial and the Old Town Hall, the building envelope upgrade project for $16,000 too. So what I would need is some signatures to accept the grant.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the grant as just described.
So moved.
Do you want a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, only from this perspective, I think this is pretty darn important, you know. And
Yeah.
I'd just appreciate from Judy, who's done this before, what people should know what we're doing on this score, Judy. What, in the past, you've had a grant, and we've done a few things, and then this, first of all, do you have a committee? You must have a committee you
It's
work on.
through the Energy Committee. The first grant we got was just for becoming a green community. We got $140,000. This was our first competitive grant that we applied for. And we've been working with Guardian Energy with this. They've been doing the energy efficiency, and these are some projects that they suggest.
So you got over $250,000 to date for energy efficiency in the town of Berlin. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. And that group you just mentioned looked at the old town hall, for example, came up with suggestions of what they could do?
We looked, the 2 biggest energy using buildings we have are this building and Berlin Memorial. And then they also looked at the 1870 town hall, the library. They just had a couple of small things that, actually the library did one of the projects.
Okay.
The old town hall, this is to work on weatherizing the doors and the windows and then putting plastic down on the dirt floor in the bottom part of it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I remember putting plastic all, well, I spent nights down there doing that. That'd be interesting. There's one corner way up in the end. Huh, I did that myself.
Oh, well,
Look at that.
I think, did I bring it?
Yeah, if you walk down in the cellar there and look up, shine a flashlight up through there, I put a lot of, there might be one corner that needs more, but,
Here, you can read.
yeah.
So, we need to accept the grant and then,
Yeah, this is fine. I mean, my question is no cost. Yeah. I'd just be curious to talk to somebody about this anyway. But certainly I accept the grant. No question about it.
Okay.
so I need, can I be authorized to
Did we
be
take that
the,
vote? I'm losing it, it's getting late.
Take it?
Did we take the vote? No, I didn't think we had. It's getting late. All right, so is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I take a vote to execute the paperwork to effect the acceptance of the grant.
Aye.
Just so moved?
Oh, yeah, that was moved, yeah.
and I seconded
All
it.
right, so, no further discussion, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye. Now, I asked that you could also make me the authorizing signature person.
I would accept a motion to that effect.
Second. Oh, I so moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. All right, so you're gonna need to sign this, and, because you're the chairperson and you have to be the CEO or whatever.
Okay.
And then I'll put my name in there as the authorized to
Mhm.
spend it.
Okay. And I'll let Mary fill in the details of telephone, because we use the
Right.
office stuff for that.
All right, that's all I have,
Okay.
although our secretary's disappeared.
Yeah. You don't think that she like
Huh?
disappears at 10 o'clock?
I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
a slight adjournment while we wait for her to return.
Well, you could go over 13. That's just monthly reports.
Yeah. Anybody have any comments, questions on those?
Well, I'm glad we're getting, I do look at them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't have any comments at this point.
Okay.
We thought you disappeared at 10
Still
o'clock.
going.
or
I was gonna
something.
run
Yeah,
out.
we're still going.
Ah.
I was tempted to tell the three of us leave while you were out.
That'd be quite the thing.
We'll go out the window.
Looking for air. Let's see.
Yeah, a little air would be good.
Nope, there's no air out there.
Well, you know, we are meeting next Monday, so we could just push all this.
Oh,
Well,
If we're meeting next Monday, you know,
Are we on 12 about the?
Yeah, yep.
I don't know if you all are kind of up to date, but the permits are out the door on Cabela's. So there's discussion, June confirmed this with Larry.
yes, the permits are, have we compensated the inspectors for that?
For permits that have already issued, the obligation incurs when the permits were issued, and they've been issued earlier in the month and at the end of June. So, those are lost opportunities. So June suggests, she didn't really even know that. She's been pushing this point to make sure that you're all clear on what percentages they're getting. Now that she had this discussion with Larry, she feels that it should not the 75% agreement should happen on River Bridge. Hotel, apartments, mixed use, but not on Highland Commons, which is underway. Not that there's still a lot of tenant work to be done, etc., but it's not the same thing as Cabela's, which actually in the end Cabela's wasn't tens of thousands of dollars. What happened was, and I talked to Al Roseberry about this, was when I asked him a couple of times to clarify what the permit amount was, he said that permit for plumbing would be $65,000. That's not correct. It's the total value of the job was $65,000, on which the fee would be based. And when he also told me that Henry would be getting roughly double that for electrical, that was the total value of the electrical, and not how much Henry would be getting in a fee.
okay.
So he apologized for sending June and
Okay.
I off in a different direction,
Okay.
and said those permits are actually already issued for
Okay,
Cabela's.
all right, we'll fuss with that then. Okay.
So,
you're okay
but
with
come
that.
Highland, so where are we now with respect to River Bridge?
Larry was gonna have a meeting with everybody concerned last Tuesday, and he thought he was gonna have firmer numbers coming out of that, but as it turned out, it ended up being 50,000 feet up. Very conceptual, not specifics on the total value of all these buildings.
Okay, but despite that, I mean, where are we? Have we?
We have a
Oh.
contract here for 75%.
Okay, that's all decided upon,
Well,
okay.
Or-
It's, no,
Wait,
there's
it's not
nothing
a
before you
contract.
because I haven't drafted one because it's not Highland Commons, it would be River Bridge and the hotel, etc.
Well, and I don't see why, I guess I don't see why
It shouldn't be now.
it shouldn't be Highland Commons with respect to anything post the agreement.
It can be that, I can put it in front of you Monday if you want. I just thought that the pressure was Cabela's with the idea that it was gonna be a $65,000 plumbing and a $120,000 cha-ching
Yeah, but that
permit.
doesn't matter, whether it's $10 or 120, if it's 75% is what we're talking about.
So
We want to,
it's gonna create tiers then, basically, it's almost like commercial becomes 75% and residential is 95%. But the commercial is taking them more time to do. I'm not trying to make their argument for them, but Al was pretty passionate about that when I talked to him the other day, saying there's much more work involved in these going up and back and forth.
Okay.
Maybe
Can we
should-
find out what the permit fee was? Do we
For-
know for Cabela's?
Yes, do you want it now? It was like 2,200 electrical and,
oh, is that all?
yeah.
2,200?
Okay. I don't think we're ready to talk about this.
If we go into areas where there's gonna be big changes in fees and stuff, I mean, we set this, if they don't like, go out to bid and see if anybody wants to take it.
Plumbing, Cabela's was 4,800.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see right in the middle there, that number jumps out because it's the largest of the month for him.
Mm-hmm.
And electrical,
And
Is it-
Michael's was, to give you an example, was 1,075.
correct.
Small.
That's not that much.
It's not as, that's no Cabela's. And then,
No, I'm
For
saying
comparison,
it's
tally up
there,
highway
it gives
bonds.
you a sense of,
Yeah.
and here in the middle is Cabela's electrical. There are gonna be others, but there's nothing like $120,000 worth of
right, and
electrical.
Cabela's electrical was 2,225, I mean, those are not,
That's not,
Oh, I guess I'm just concerned over what it was for that solar panel
Exactly, it's
thing,
nothing
you know,
like that.
So it's nothing like that.
all right.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think we have anything more to say about this than tonight. I would, at some point, like to discuss what's in the pipeline on River Bridge and what that would look like,
Mhm.
and then make some determination, but that's not happening in the next
Not
couple
yet.
of weeks.
Larry
Well-
is in a position to know because he's been attending those meetings, but there's only been one so far.
Mhm.
I did.
But I can't, there's not gonna be something to inspect on that hotel in the next 2 weeks.
Correct.
Yeah, we're talking plumbing and electrical, we're not talking, yeah.
I just said.
So I think we can
Wait.
wait.
I do have to say that I heard that there could be another solar farm going in town,
Okay?
although I disagree.
Judy, it's probably the same one I heard about, but it requires a certain zoning, and that farm isn't zoned that way, if we're talking the same one on
I
Randall
would-
Road.
I was just asking our Green Communities person, because the argument I heard was all the yellow on here, the limited business, was what we as a green community zoned as solar. But,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yes, it was limited business.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, right.
But there's a 40A. There's some other state law about zoning, which this person seems to feel, that not my Green Communities person, but the person on Randall Road
Yeah.
seems to feel that it would supersede the town zoning. So I'm gonna talk to my Green Community person tomorrow, and she was
All
gonna,
right, let me know if we need further follow-up on that.
You know, frankly, I've been after that for years to API and protect it one way or another. We might be able to work out something for the better of the town.
Okay?
And look at that.
All right. Update on closing of the call for interest in the inspector land use clerk.
that's Friday, right?
No, it's today, actually, at 3 o'clock, and there's a total of, off the top of my head, we had one physically handed in at 3 o'clock. I think that was the 15th.
Okay,
So
so how many applications?
15. Yeah, I
15.
think it's 15.
Okay.
And so my question is, Larry wants to serve on a review committee. Do you have do you want to, it's 15, and do you want to impanel? The sooner that there's some committee put together,
Yeah,
the sooner that we get someone to go to
Well-
GOTS training, for example, and
sure, I mean, we could put the word out if somebody else wants to,
do you have an idea of how big you'd like it to be?
I
You
don't think it
don't,
should be more than about 3 because it
3.
becomes, I think 3 is decent. Larry is, I think, appropriate.
for conflict reasons, it couldn't be Al,
Well, why would that be?
because there's a relative.
Oh, okay.
I guess I'd have to disclose that.
Mhm.
He's already said as much, that he doesn't want to be involved in it
Mhm.
because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in doing that?
I would do that if you would like me to.
I think you
'Cause I think you'd
understand
be
what the
somebody you're
job would
gonna-
be.
I'm
You
currently
will be
doing-
interfacing with that
Yeah,
person on a
yeah.
regular basis. You'll be a fellow inmate of this institution.
Well put.
And she's doing the job right now.
Yeah. So I,
You could
if
bring
you-
back Peggy as a veteran who has,
Yeah, Peggy would be
Peggy
great.
would be
See if
good.
Peggy would like to.
I will ask her.
Yeah.
That would be, so Larry, Mary, and Peggy would seem to
Yeah.
me to be a good,
She does know the most about it.
well,
second
ask,
to
I mean,
Larry,
you know,
so-
ask, you know,
Okay.
want her to ask. I'd love to have her experience and input if she would be willing to do it.
Okay.
That fair enough?
Yep.
How about
Okay.
a planning board member or ZBA member? What do we got?
True, that's right.
3 members. How about?
Conservation.
Yeah,
planning
we
and
just get
zoning.
too many people at that. I mean, I'd say ZBA or someone into the zoning.
The amount of
Who's-
support that you'd be providing those boards is not much. It'd be retyping minutes, it'd be posting their agendas. It's kind of light,
Yeah, I don't know that I think,
because they're gonna be
Oh.
filing for them. But the amount that you do for them is much less than what you do for the
I
inspectors.
would do this, let's go with those three.
see if
Okay.
Peggy wants to do it, because you
Yeah,
don't know
and
that.
Yeah.
If she doesn't want to do it, then we'll look to that.
Okay.
And then as we look at process.
Jeannie
and-
would be good too on that, only because she's been so
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
Jeannie Servell on the ZBA.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
She's done it in
Somebody to
another
know
town.
zoning and everything.
And she's done it
That's all
before
I'm saying.
herself.
But I think the thing is that, well, I mean, we
She's
could
got the
ask them
bandwidth.
to, like, boil it down
Yeah.
to three, and we could ask her to interview with one of the
Sure.
boards
Yeah.
afterwards. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have to do everything.
Do you want me to ask Jeannie to see if she has the ability?
Why don't you ask Peggy first?
Okay.
Well,
Is
do
that-
you want the final three candidates to come in and talk to us before?
Well, I was
Give it-
just saying that I think that maybe, to reduce it to three candidates, have us interview, and I think that, maybe have, invite the other boards when, when we're doing that to maybe sit in, Make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
And,
All right. And if Peggy is unwilling to do it and we have to go to another third, then I think Jeannie Serval
Jeannie
is a great,
Serval would be good.
is a great possibility.
I mean, I'm willing to take myself off if you think it would be nice
No,
to
I
have
would
a
like to
land
have you
use
on it.
board.
No, I think you're doing the
Not-
job.
I'm just saying.
Not so fast.
Darn it.
Mary.
Try. I didn't really see that coming at
Mm.
first, okay.
Well, if Peggy's on there,
Yep,
she's got you pretty well covered.
she's got me beat.
Got you beat, frankly.
Yeah.
But you're actually gonna work with her.
Yeah.
I would be handing
Yeah.
off the baton.
Yeah.
I think Peggy sat in on choosing me, did she not? I
Yes.
don't know if she was reviewing applications or not, but
Who was on our interview committee?
It isn't a big deal.
I can't remember.
You'll probably fix it.
All right. Okay.
Well, it is a big deal.
All right, so that's that. Update on the non-compliance of the Berlin Municipal Center?
there was, Dave said that did not trigger a retesting,
Yes, I read that email, yeah.
so, and nor notification to anybody.
Mhm.
So as it sits, he just last Tuesday, I said, oh, is that why you went to Worcester to deliver another sample to follow up on that? He says, no, that is the regular July sample date.
Mhm.
So it's just watching it. Now,
Okay.
this survey would be very interesting to see what the result is.
Okay. Okay.
Keith did run, he said he's doing 2 or 3 things anyway,
Oh, I'm
more
doing something
routine
different.
maintenance and stuff that hadn't been done, so they're doing that.
I'm
but
sorry,
the-
actually,
The point is, we don't have to drill another well.
Talking about
That's
something else,
the
actually.
important thing, yeah.
Keith is still looking into that, and he was talking to Al Roseberry about, that's about the structure of,
Right.
and where we'll, no, there was actually a water reading that came back
There
that
was coliform.
charted a 1 for coliform, but 0 for E. coli, so a
Yeah.
separate issue.
Right.
For the water here.
Right.
That did not chart any action
Right.
according to, so that's
Okay.
separate
That's right.
issue.
Yeah.
Keith is still working on the actual bigger DEP issue.
Yeah.
That,
Yep.
I mean, and that's pretty normal stuff.
That is
because-
normal stuff.
They actually think it could be sampling error, just sampling.
Oh,
Right.
the coliform?
Yeah.
That's 'cause
That
it's
by
going on.
itself just indicates that there could be, but it doesn't mean there's anything in it. I had a squirrel fall down our well one time,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we had to keep testing it and shocking it, and it finally turned out the reading wasn't changing because the pump was going. So once we changed the pump and shocked it, it all cleared up.
Mhm.
Well, Al said the old standard used to be 3 on that anyhow, or no, Bill Brookings said the standard for coliform used to be 3
Yeah.
in any
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
We had E. coli though, too.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
All right. That's that. Discussion regarding the purchase and sale from Matthews property and any potential STM.
Is that, Walter, what you were asking about? You wanted this on the agenda tonight. You wanted the Matthews property discussion put on the agenda. That top sheet.
Oh, no, I think we took care of this.
Yeah.
We don't
I'm sorry.
need a special town meeting.
Okay.
Oh,
Did
really?
you saw the emails?
I did.
Vicky Marsh isn't on the same, I don't think that was ever shared with Vicky Marsh. I think that was between you and Eloise perhaps, but I didn't push it back to town council.
Okay, yeah,
I'm a
push
little
it back to
bewildered because
town
I think
council.
everything's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on just fine.
No, no,
I
no.
don't see any problem.
I responded
I'm
to
sorry, Mary.
whoever you had on that email.
Yep.
I responded
Yes.
to all.
Yep.
And with respect to the sums that were voted under the mitigation agreement for Solomon Pond Mall, we have taken the position for 20 years now that by the town voting for the terms of the development agreement, and the development agreement indicating that that amount would be used to fund the conservation fund, that was the vote for that. And I see no reason to change that
Was there
now.
a separate question about whether there needed to be a conservation restriction by town meeting or something? There seemed to be some two dueling issues about whether one thing needed town meeting approval or another.
What I read, they
Is
were
that-
talking
is
about
that-
whether they were talking about the need for a vote
Okay.
to, fund the conservation. But that, we voted the
Done.
terms of the agreement. The agreement, but see, I think that the thing that's confusing is most of the time when you're voting to fund a conservation fund, you're voting out of, general funds or whatever, and so there's a specific vote. Here, the town voted to enter into an agreement where a third party was compelled to fund the conservation fund, and that, has been adequate for all of the expenditures we've done out of that fund with that money. And it was certainly the fact that that money was going for conservation purposes, and the conservation fund was not any secret when people voted on that mitigation. Everybody knew about that. I mean, that was a key point.
Sorry, Mary, I did ask you to put on, that was the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Whether we need a town meeting
Okay.
vote. to-
So what I would suggest is, if you still have my email,
Yes, forward it to Vicky.
forward it to Vicky.
Okay.
And that was the one that I guess whatever, as I
All the
said,
Solomon
sometimes I
Pond stuff
respond to these and I
predates her.
just hit, reply to all, and I think I've responded to everybody I needed to, but.
Okay,
Okay?
yes.
Great.
All right.
If you were thinking of a special town meeting, which it sounds like there's still no appetite for it, those are good dates through the fall that Eloise said work for her.
Well, let's
I know.
keep that in mind if we
Yep,
need it, but we
yep.
certainly don't need it for that.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, we require a vote to hold no more than one car wash per month for the months of August and September. This is the Berlin Fire Company.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
With signage on Linden and West and all the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
all that stuff.
Okay.
As in the letter.
Got it.
Okay, and yes, this is the last thing here, I think, before we get to, and I will respond to her today. This is the question of whether the LIP needs to be renegotiated, and the LIP needs to be amended. This is the Sawyer Hill. That if and when the foreclosure is finalized, and they're actually going to make that change, we will have to amend the LIP agreement, which had a certain number of units in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's within the selectmen's purview. We've already indicated our support for that. It's a very perfunctory amendment. It is just, we will get the LIP agreement and we will say that this figure becomes that figure. So I think we can respond to her saying,
Does it matter the foreclosure timing? She's asking, do you need the foreclosure to happen first? Can you do it now? I don't know, the timing of it.
here's the thing. If for some reason the whole reduction isn't going to happen because there isn't a foreclosure, because they sell something or whatever, then we've amended the LIP agreement in a way that's
Unnecessarily.
inconsistent with the facts. the LIP agreement is not changed, is not required, so far as I've been told, by anything else, not by the foreclosure, not by DHCD. We've already issued a letter of support to DHCD. So the way it looks now is that the LIP agreement is just going to be an administrative consistency point, and my feeling is that when the rest of that happens, we just make that amendment to make it consistent.
I agree. She seems very concerned about it. I'm not sure why. Yeah.
Does she have a phone number here?
I can get it for you.
Yeah, I can call her tomorrow, okay? And talk to her. All right? Yeah, I did, in the event I was going to talk to Joel about it the day that we went into Federal District Court, because I thought I was going in for a couple of hour session, and it was from 10 to about 4, and then about 45 minutes of talking to the lawyers afterwards, and it was out of my head by that time. But I did touch base with him when I got the reminder. I'm going to propose that we people take a look through the miscellaneous correspondence, and if anybody has any questions about it, we can talk about it Monday night.
Okay.
Okay? Fair enough?
Okay, how long will we have an opportunity on Monday night to talk about these? I mean, one thing I wanted to talk, I have just one thing I wanted to bring up tonight before we close, but I can bring it up Monday night if we have time.
No, good. What do you want to bring up?
The last week when we had the Historical Society Commission in and talking about the Bullet House and stuff, I didn't want to get into it, but I was very unsatisfied with the responses. I've since talked to the building inspector and the individual fixing the Hearst house and stuff, and it doesn't quite jive with what we heard. I think what I would like to do is have the building inspector, along with the entire Historical Commission, or more than just one, myself and the fellow.
Well, we did have pretty much the entire.
They never looked at the Bullet House, Tom. The building inspector was there along.
Oh, I meant we had them at the meeting.
Oh, right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
But they weren't at the Bullet House. The building inspector just felt he looking at things and, was being brushed over, and, he just thought, what the heck's going on here? But also, the fellow who helped restore the Methodist church there, put the structure in, Tim, who's working on the Hearst house, would be willing at no cost to actually be there also. And frankly,
when we look at the Bullet House?
Look at the Bullet House at no cost to the charge of the town. So I would like to get the, have another
I'd like to
good
go to that if
inspection.
we have it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I'll let you know. Well, I will arrange that. I'll put out, coordinate schedules, and we'll do it. Okay.
If
I think
there's
it's
gonna be
very
two of you
important.
there, let me know if you want me to post it, if you think that's necessary.
Can we
I'm not
meet
sure.
and not discuss it between us, just ask?
We're not going to be taking any action, we're just going to be witnessing.
Yeah.
Witnessing, yeah. I think we're okay with that.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I want to do.
All right.
I'm all set, and I'll look at these, I might even come in and run through it.
Okay.
Look at the correspondence.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. There is one other thing. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.